We begin our best fights of the James Bond series with some that didn't quite make the top 25. All of them are brilliant in their own right, and we wanted to give them some special attention. So here's the first one from Octopussy. If you look it up on YouTube, it's even called Roger Moore's best fight scene. So there you go. Bond and Octopussy have finally sort of got together. And
yeah.
So romantic, isn't it?
It's their first sort of romantic embrace, isn't it?
Something wrong?
Not really. Just a feeling.
Want to come back to bed?
Rob always quotes it. Do you want to come back to bed? No, but it's so realistic.
It is.
Right, it's the most believable Roger.
Yeah.
Roger.
I mean, we'll go on to talk about Roger's fighting technique, but I suppose we can't not mention his kissing technique. It's so famous. The twisting head with every like, I don't know if he's like inhaling kind of like, but it's so familiar.
So Partridge.
Yeah.
Like that bit where, come here, you lucky lady.
Yeah.
So that,
So the scene is set, isn't it, in one of Peter Lamont's best sets. It's a brilliant bedroom, isn't it? Which until years later, I didn't realise it was the shape of an octopus. If you see the entire bed, have you all noticed that?
No.
Perfect setup, because you've got this luxurious bed, and then you've got that amazing balcony with the glass top of. And we've already seen this guy, haven't we?
And you just see his shadow just as they're going off to. It's one of the first time I've spotted it.
Oh right,
you see his shadow like in the background.
The calm before the storm. You've had this romantic moment, then suddenly he's like bursting off the bed, and it's an assault kind of. You've got people on the balcony coming through the rooms. I love what they're wearing. You know, they are locals.
Yeah.
In terms of an opponent, they possess a bit of a threat because they're going to be kind of maybe unorthodox, or you know, they're going to be able to kind of navigate and get around in ways that Bond might not be able to. So I think just their image, their costume, what they look like, is a threat from the very start.
Do you think they're set up to look like robbers, kind of thing?
Maybe,
obviously, Kamal Khan or Govinda could have just.
Yeah, but they don't want Octopussy to know that.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That I hadn't thought of that.
I assume so.
Yeah.
They hire them to do it.
When he gets the drip on his face, that's when.
Yeah.
A line that they shout on either the trip to Italy or the trip to Spain many times.
Yeah.
Move!
Yeah.
A couple of others come in, don't they?
Yeah.
It's really Roger fight.
And then the music kicks in.
Yeah, the music. It's so amazing how, said before about Barry creating action themes and stuff that are so unique for each film.
Yeah.
But just like this whole thing, the setting, the villains that he's facing, the weapon later on, the octopus, like it's only in this film. It could only be in this film, which is just amazing when you're however many umpteen films into a film series. Again, just so much to appreciate.
It's difficult to put it down to one thing. You'd think, well, Barry's music is so distinct for this film, but like we've mentioned, like Tom's mentioned, the set. You've got the set. It's all a package. At this stage of the filmmaking, and then when you go on to A View to Kill, there's no way you could mix up any of these Roger films. They're all so distinct, and just how they look. But yeah, the music, like you mentioned, the way it kicks in is that sudden urgency, and it's this action music. Like in many ways, it's action music, but in others, it's not really, is it? Action music in terms of the melody, like it's exciting and like it's
Coronation Street on a flute.
That's the important thing.
I'd say this is peak Roger.
Yeah.
Because I won't ever say, I adore Roger. I won't ever say fighting is Roger's strongest point. But what this does is it gets the best out of him. Like it accentuates what he is good at. So you've got the big kicks, you've got the big like elbows, they're very over the top, and then you put the sound effects up to 10 as well. And then you've got Roger's and his noises all with it.
Yeah,
all that's going on. What you need to do with a Roger film as well is bring imagination. So when you've got buzzsaws, and then you've got people dying by octopuses suffocating.
Yeah.
That can only happen in a Roger Moore film. The idea of an octopus sucking someone on the face, that is how Roger Moore does a fight in the perfect world to me.
Roger Moore is not a brawler, he's not someone who's grabbing and jostling or anything like that. In this fight, you see his technique in all its glory. You talked about the swings and the kicks, and also like his blocks, like an extended arm to block.
Yeah.
It's so very him and so like efficient, but it makes it so clear to see every kind of swing and punch. Nothing's lost, and I just think as a viewer, maybe even a younger viewer, I'm often bringing a younger perspective, I know, to like children watching. I'm not saying it's for children or anything, but it's so easy to follow as a fight, and it's every punch and blow is really emphatic and rewarding.
Yeah.
It's not an ugly fight where you don't know what's going on until suddenly someone's dead. It's a choreographed fight where one block leads into a punch and then a spin and a kick leads into another. It's so clear to follow. And like you've talked about the sound effects, it's so emphatic. Every blow is brilliant.
The buzzsaw gets stuck, so Moore's Bond, grabbing the rope or the string, to pull him down.
Yeah. You think, oh, it's a soft landing, like that's not going to kill him. But you're right, you see in the background the guy getting up covered in like pillow feathers.
Yeah.
Ingenuity.
Yeah, it's funny.
Really,
I know it's very much his technique of fighting. We've talked about these things that happen, but I believe it as a fighting technique. Yeah. It makes me believe that Roger Moore would manage in these situations because he's got like a learnt strategy of how to block and punch, block and kick.
Training, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's very like efficient and trained.
Even the buzzsaw thing, which I know is a little bit but it's quite scary, as a kid, because if it goes anywhere near you, it's going to cut you badly. It's quite a scary implement.
You can't block it or grab it.
No.
But you're taking a kid's toy, a yo-yo, and making it into a weapon.
Yeah.
It's lethal.
Yeah.
She has to help Bond. She smashes the bottle over him, and then kicks over the guard on the way out. Pretty scary stuff. Putting through the door.
There is a strangulation as well, man.
Yeah. That again, he gets his hands there first, though, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Bond doesn't overtly win, so he falls into the river, but you don't see a conclusion. So and you don't hear a quip.
No.
It's mysterious.
Yeah, him,
punches in the water as well. You get some slaps and punches.
It's so Roger Moore and John Glenn. They're like,
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely.
Being shut out of a window is so good to watch, isn't it?
Yeah.
To end on that shot of her.
Yeah.
It's all these choices that are going on.
Yeah, and with the reflection of the water as well. I've always thought, good shot.
You don't for a minute think James Bond's died, but that's what Octopus is supposed to believe.
Yeah.
And that adds tension to it as well.
And it adds to their relationship that started this fight. They've started in a romantic place, and now at the end, she's like despairing. For that adds another extra tone of seriousness on it because it's interrupted an actual, genuine, loving moment, and it ends with a bit of despair as a couple, kind of. She's worried about him.
She's class, of course, Maud Adams.
And she uses that dart on one of them, so she's very useful.
Oh, yeah.
Give me the gun.
Whenever I see it, I still think it's blood, but it's the red.
Yeah.
Every single time after. No, actually.
Yeah.
Some regard Never Say Never Again as an unofficial Bond film, but whatever you think about it, this fight is one of the best. Sadly, it didn't quite make the top 25, but my word, Sean went out in real style here. This is one of the longest fights, I think, in Bond history.
Oh, I love it. I think it's great. I think I can't believe that Living Daylights ripped it off.
Kitchen fight. Yeah.
I think it feels so much like a 80s Bond fight. It just feels like it hits all the notes from what you expect, and maybe more in terms of the sort of comedic kind of moments in it. I think that Pat Roach is just amazing, and the way he stands over his fist just reminds me of obviously Raiders. You know, he does that little shuffle thing, going from like room to room, smashing everything as you go along, using anything as a weapon. Literally walking into like when they're watching TV and it's like they're cheering on and like the spectators. Just the sort of stuff as a kid, I'll be absolutely howling, laughing, and ends with a joke and also slightly disgusting death of, of the henchman. And he is genuinely, obviously, a huge threat physically, but also the fact that he has that like weird metal whip thing that can cut through blades. I don't even know what that is. Terrifying. I really love it because it is long and it's a little bit silly, and it just feels like it's a proper kind of all-out scrap. Just Bond slightly panicking, doesn't know how he's going to get out of it, and then obviously the urine joke is the payoff. Shame you'd say somehow sort of shoehorn taking the piss into that. But yeah, great fight.
I do really like it. I think perhaps it's just a touch too long, but that perhaps is the only criticism. I love the fact that Pat Roach has been in a Bond film. I know that this isn't an official Bond film, but someone who's been so good in these sorts of roles, particularly in Indiana Jones. I love the fact that you move from one place to the other, destroying rooms, destroying property, chucking that poor cleaner around. The fact that he comes in pretending to be a cleaner, the bit with them cheering on the football and it looks like they're cheering them on, it's really good. So crisp, Sean Connery with his greying hair, flat hair, and like his grey, sweatshirt and joggers and white trainers, going to the kitchen like, you bloody lunatics or something. That scary implement, it's so Bond. Cutting through the duvet over the, going to the ballroom's room and then putting a duvet over him. It's really good. It's really enjoyable.
Is this one of the best fights ever committed to celluloid? Honestly, it's so good. It is really good. Like, you can tell what's going on at all times. The stakes are very clear. The geography of the fight is very obvious. The fun is right there. This is seriously enjoyable. And it's just a joy. Start to finish, it's a total joy. And it goes on for 5 minutes. It's absolutely brilliant. This is just great action filmmaking. Really enjoyed it.
And Sean's absolutely loving it, isn't he? He is. People have a go, but it's quite funny that Bond in a gym. And I know in Skyfall we see him on the treadmill, but Bond's doing weights on the gym.
Yeah. Oh, it's so nice.
His face, oh.
Yeah.
I remember seeing him for the first time, like, is he what? It seemed like
Bond as you've
so
never
nice.
seen him before.
The idea of the gym stuff, brilliant. Like, I've always thought, why have you never done anything with gym-based stuff?
Have you, Mr. Bond? Let's try again.
Bit in the kitchen, I was thinking, this is class.
Yeah.
And Pat Roach is a better lippy than Guy Dolman is in. He has more.
It's clearly made by someone who understands Bond and understands what makes a Bond fight and what people want to see. We do want to see Bond up against it and being thrown around a bit and absolutely, the guy's clearly miles stronger than Bond and has this weapon, and how on earth is Bond gonna get out of it? But he does, because that's what James Bond does.
Even though I remember how it ends, I'm always confused as to how he dies. I always used to think it was like one of these injections or something in this lab that put him to sleep, but he's stabbed from all the into his back. Yeah, and it's a great gag. The fact that it's his urine sample, because he's just been doing that on the health stuff.
It's sort of like, this is a Bond fight, and let's just make this the best Bond fight. And know, like Matt says, they know exactly kind of how to construct it, and I think it was really, really good.
I send you to a health farm to get yourself in shape. Instead, you demolish it.
Here's another one which ridiculously didn't make the cut. It's the incredible train fight sequence when Roger takes on Teehee at the end of Live and Let Die.
Another immense scrap. Super attention to detail in terms of just how much of both a burden to Teehee his weapon might be, but also how much of a danger it is to Bond.
Yeah.
Which they sort of they balance that line really, really well. Super set again, like the interaction of the set, that this set can be broken and things can happen, and it's just great. But again, it's our boy, it's James. It's Roger. It's just, and he is just brilliant. And so is Teehee. They're just brilliant. I love it. Love it.
It's all like filmed as if it's a horror film, zoom in, the hands, doing, well, not a hand, but a claw, doing lights going out. How sinister he looks, smiling when he's about to touch a hand with his, with his metal claw thing.
The slightest touch of your hand. I was always so afraid that a part of me would stay with the past. Now I know there's no chance of that any longer.
And then, oh no, pack of cards in the face. He's a fairly brutal. And Teehee is proper giving it. He's showing off his strength. That the metal claw or whatever it is lethal. The fact that he does smash that ladder or and I love the reveal when he rips the jacket and you get to see it actually goes all the way up, and then obviously Bond's glad that he's nail set with him so he can deal with that his cuticles. But I think it's one of Roger's best fights. I think because it is scary, and again another brilliant payoff with a quip at the end.
It brings the brutality, but it brings the comedic elements too. Roger's faces throughout. Throw a pack of cards, but to look beforehand.
Mr. Bond, it's good to see you again.
So charming, smiling. It's so sinister. But the fight is brutal. The train isn't half as classy as the From Russia with Love one, where you've got all that lovely pine wood around in that. This is like that really combustible plastic ore that you can just go straight through. But that's great because it gives a different dynamic to this fight, because you weren't going through walls really in the other fight, you were bouncing off them. But the death is so Roger Moore. To get your clippers and to clip off is the sound effects. But then just have about 10 seconds just think, well, what am I going to do with you now? I've got it's just brilliant. It's just wait for the punchline, knock him out. Absolutely class.
I love this so much. First of all, I really like, and talking about what would we want in Bond 26, I really like the idea of there still being a henchman left after all the, you wouldn't want to do it in every film, but it's quite a nice thing sometimes. You see him and the audience goes, oh yeah, what about him? He's always intimidating but incredibly charming. All the way through, and so to see him like this, and it feels so original, like him sort of laughing whilst he's doing it, and when his glasses get knocked off. When he thrusts the ladder at him. I was going to say, I love the cards bit because it's so only James Bond and maybe only Roger's Bond, but no, maybe I don't know, maybe Shaw might do that. It's like the first thing like to distract you, you know, and then you're in. I really like that touch. The fight's really good. It looks like, you know, if Teehee did connect with him in some ways, then it would cause real damage. And then obviously, you know, the tweezers or whatever they are to to get, and that little gap. But then I've always loved how he, you know, pulls him down to open the window and then throws him out, leaving the arm behind.
Yeah,
which is quite, you know, really.
Which reminds me of Terminator 2.
Yeah, it's so Terminator.
It off when he's chasing the car. It always reminds me of that.
Yeah, Live and Let Die did it first, Matt. Guy Hamilton did it first.
Oh yeah.
Linda Hamilton. Guy.
No relation.
Yeah.
Now what are you doing?
Just being disarming, darling.
We can't believe this didn't make the top 25, but here it is anyway. One of the best hand-to-hand fights between Bond and Capungo. But that first shot, again, it's really well done, isn't it? That while he's kissing Karen Bay's girlfriend you just see the hand, don't you, come from behind the wardrobe or the door, sorry.
Yeah.
With the has he got a bottle or something?
Truncheon?
Yeah, truncheon. You know, because I've always thought, is it just luck that he looks into her eyes? But I've sort of the last couple of times I've watched it, I've thought, has he noticed that she's like, not quite, you know, that something's a little bit up? So he pulls away, and then that's when he sees him coming from behind in her eyes.
I don't think you can humanly react so quickly to turn someone around if you didn't already see something happening, because you'd be in shock at something straight out. I certainly think he's already got something in his mind.
Yeah, and I also think the you know, her with the gun, like, I presume that was deliberate to disarm him.
Oh right, yeah,
100%.
So brilliant. He might be thinking that as well, you know.
Oh,
forgive me.
Why do you always wear that thing?
I have a slight inferiority complex. What was it? Oh yes.
He's so good though, Bond. These are the things, aren't they, that sets him apart.
It is pretty brutal, him using her, you know.
Yeah. Oh. It's the Mathis technique again, isn't it? It's the human shield.
This fight is a cracker. I think I've underrated it. And, you know, I'm always going on about Guy Hamilton films not having that much action, but there were some really good fights in his films.
Yeah.
And, you know, bearing in mind that, obviously it doesn't work like this, but say you were to watch all the Bonds in a row, you know, like Partridge, like back to back. Not long ago, you'd have just had possibly one of the best ever Bond or film fights. And then quite soon after, you know, you've got this brilliant one. I love it because it's not too long. It's quite brutal. It's with just a guy who's only in this scene. Bond
awkward.
Bond gets Bond gets punched quite a few times, but then has to. It's just brilliant. And then, you know, he's about to be shot.
Fights were just brawls. And obviously they were choreographed, don't get me wrong, but we're happy to just wrap our leg around someone, or we're happy to throw someone at a wall. And that would be deemed not right now, and in the way that fights are set. And yet, this is far more natural. This is far more what, if you are brawling with someone, this is far more what it's like. It's not as fancy as you see on screen now. It's not as showy. It's messy. It's brutal because it's done from instinct rather than from plan. And that is, to me, why the early fights in Bond reign supreme. Yeah. And this one's a brilliant one at it. I mean, what's he called? Capungo. What a name.
Yeah. Brilliant.
He's probably fighting for no more than 30 seconds, really, because he's thrown in the bath quite quickly. But it leaves that lasting impact on you.
It looks like it hurts, you know. It doesn't look clean, or, you know, it is a bit dirty over, and nasty. Yeah.
It lands on his back.
Yeah.
And he has to get up quickly.
What a finish to it as well. Absolutely. Only Bond, what a hero.
Absolutely awful death, isn't it? A really awful, painful death. And visually it's done so well because it does look really bad, but it's still within the PG sort of...
Yeah.
You just see enough. And I know Yeah, in the wrong hands, that could have come off terribly, couldn't it?
Shocking. Positively shocking.
And then the opening notes of one of the most famous songs ever.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of how good Sean Connery is just in this pre-title scene. He's on another level, isn't he?
Yeah, he
like
is.
The timing of the quip at the end is not. It's not an easy thing.
Never going to get any better. There you go. And you've just had 3.5 minutes of utter perfection for a pre-title sequence.
Yeah.
These 30 seconds of the fight are probably the pinnacle of it.
Diamonds Are Forever isn't really remembered for much action, but it has got good fights, including the very end one, and a very odd one, with Bond finally facing Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd.
One of the more interesting fights or confrontations in Bond/film history. It's Bond versus Wint and Kidd at the end of Diamonds Are Forever. So these two assassins have been sort of dipping in and out of the film as and when, really sort of frightening, sinister presence, so memorable, brilliantly portrayed. So unique is the fact that they know who Bond is, but Bond doesn't know who they are. Having had the sort of final act of the film seemingly complete on the oil rig, that there are still these two and that they've followed them onto the big cruise ship. So then when Bond and Tiffany are having, what the audience might think, I know that we've seen that Wint and Kidd are on the ship, but right, this is the final, the bit at the end of a Bond film where they live happily ever after type thing. But then Wint and Kidd come in. I think it's brilliant. Dressed as the sort of waiting on staff, delivering this luxury meal.
There must be some mistake. I didn't order any.
No mistake, sir. On specific instructions and with the compliments of Mr. Willard White.
Bond smells his aftershave and realises that something's not quite right, and so puts the claret question to him as a way of catching him out. That's so Bond.
Very Bond.
But the wine is quite excellent. Although for such a grand meal, I had rather expected a claret.
Of course. Unfortunately, our cellar is rather poorly stocked with clarets.
Mouton Rothschild is a claret. And I've smelt that aftershave before, and both times I've smelt a rat.
And then we're into it. So obviously it starts with Kidd getting the shish kebabs, are they? Or
aren't they?
Yeah. Gets them flaming and then comes towards it. It's there's some really good stuff in this fight. There's obviously some stranger stuff, but yeah. He comes at him and then the chain that Wint has around his neck, he starts strangling Bond with.
Yeah.
And Bond is able to smash the bottle of liqueur, whatever it is, and throw it onto Kidd, and then so he's set alight. I mean, it's great thinking from Bond, but it's pretty awful. And then so he goes over the side and is dead.
This is a long time before License to Kill.
Yeah.
And License to Kill, had to have they had to cut certain bits so it wasn't an 18, you know, whatever it was. And this here, let's just get it in.
Yeah.
Out of this.
No, yeah.
We'll have him set on fire alight.
Yeah.
You know, unbelievable.
It's amazing for the time. This is an amazing burn, and it's like there's no. It's unapologetically there.
Yeah,
like he stood there. It's like incinerated.
Could either of you show me how Tiffany K sort of reacted and responded and like?
She's so funny in this scene.
Yeah,
I don't think intentionally.
No, I know.
She's quite a bit of a passenger in this period.
Yeah,
I must say, I love all of this. Everything, all of it. I think the setting is great. On a exclusive deck on a cruise ship or cabin on a cruise ship or whatever. Having the two assassins come in with the bomber surprise. Is great. I absolutely love it all. It's so good.
And for dessert, the pièce de résistance. Our bomber surprise.
That looks fantastic. What's in it?
But then there would be no surprise with Her Majesty.
The costuming from everyone is great. Everyone's got their lovely roles to play, as denoted by the costumes.
Yeah,
and it's just I just really, really, really like it. I also think it's played really, really well. Bruce Glover is so good.
Brilliant.
When he sees that kid goes over the side,
Mm.
and he's like,
he's enraged
so
further and
torn.
tries to strangle him even more. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there is the famous misstep in this scene.
Yeah,
but
very much dated. We wouldn't get something like this now, and obviously pulling his hands between, and then putting that. So
yeah,
one thing that Tiffany Case does do is grab the bomb surprise, baked Alaska, and chucking it in what I don't know quite what she was hoping to do by that, but it reveals that there was a bomb. It's quite a famous looking bomb. That's quite a bomb that seems very recognisable to me. In my
moments earlier, it was ticking.
Yeah.
Is no one going like, what's in that there?
The fact she threw it.
Yeah.
What is going on?
So then Bond does what? Yeah, just pulling the hands, and then puts the bomb to him, and then spins him over the side.
Now that is great.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
And blows up. Yeah.
If we just didn't have the facial expression and the noise, both of which were. I mean, again, because I didn't know better as a child, but you used to do that noise all the time as a kid.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know, any of the connotations or anything like that.
Yeah.
And the negativity, and obviously in its portrayal. Can get rid of that, but that's all. I love everything else.
Well, he's certainly left with his tails between his legs.
Stay tuned now for the full rundown of our top 25 James Bond fights. Starting our list at number 25 is one of the most underrated henchmen in one of the most underrated fights in currently one of the most underrated Bond films. So this is at the end of the film when one of the greatest sets ever made of all time, Volcano, the layer for Blofeld, and it's that secondary room which is so good. Austin Powers again spoofs all this because it's got the piranhas. We've seen the threat though; we know they're there.
Exactly, and there's this threat of the bridge that can. Collapse down. So you kind of think, is that going to be part of the fight? Is that how Bond's going to win? But no, you guess wrong about that, which is always a nice thing when you think something's going to happen, but actually Bond's got a different idea to what you might predict, which is a great way to kind of entertain.
Bond needs to get that key in order to, get back into that control area. Yeah. Because you need that key in order to abort, the shuttle. So it's crucial that he gets it. And the only way he's going to get it is by defeating this big blonde, presumably German henchman.
The use of furniture is outstanding again. I think Connery's performance in this is absolutely brilliant. Like, apparently he was out of shape and he doesn't look very good anymore. But the way he moves, like when he grabs he puts his legs on his neck. And flip. That's him doing it.
Yeah.
Just so many bits. When he's got him strangled at the fireplace, and he's You're waiting because you know the fight quite well. You're just waiting for Bond's next move, and he's
Like Matt said, Hans is the absolute definition of an obstacle here. We need that key. You need to get hold of it. The idea is so straightforward and simple. If you want that key, you're gonna have to get it off this big guy. When Bond has come into this room, I think the audience is as surprised as Bond to see him and think, oh no, kind of, like I'd forgotten about the threat that he possesses right now when we need to be moving things along, time is ticking, and now you're faced with Hans. It's like, oh no, I'd forgotten, but it's just so big, just so wide and broad and clean, completely clean shaven and like absolute no vulnerability to this guy, almost like a robot. Like, how are we going to beat him?
You're going from set piece to set piece, and sometimes from building up that crescendo of the ending. But I think it's also like we were saying that Hans is such a big character that that Bond doesn't pause to he goes at him. Like, there's a swagger about Connery. Like, he's going to get stuck in here. He doesn't pause for thought at all. until he gets smacked in the face. But I think it's quite an interesting way it's shot, isn't it? With a sort of like almost like a point of view kind of. Camera does something quite different. It's really close. Yeah, the set is marvelous, lovely roaring fireplace. He squares up to him, and they have a scrap. As soon as he gets that key, he's off. He's isn't going to try and finish him off. He's trying to get out of there because he's got a mission. He's not bothered about finishing hands off. So I think it's quite interesting that he sort of gets dragged back into it, and he ends up killing him simply just to get away rather than to kind of get past him. So great scene.
It opens with a super rendition of the Bond theme. This fight scene. I love the stuff all over the walls, the art, the set is just it's arguably the greatest. I think it's right up there. Unconventional. It's grubby. They're fighting for their lives here. Like they're slipping and sliding. I love Connery's like grey pajamas are so good for fighting in. Really good. But they're in separate uniforms that are easy to follow. You can follow who's doing what to each other. It really does. It really does. But any film, honestly, when there's a fight and there's a bonus animal threat somewhere, I absolutely love it. It's Bond saving the world, but he's got to do it one bit at a time. And this is the next, I love that word obstacle, because then, you're right, I forgot that. As soon as he gets the key, he's like, right. And of course he gets stopped, but he's not sitting around. He has the world to save. Mission first, always. Just love it.
It's such a good ending as well, isn't it? As how he defeats Hans. You've mentioned childhood, Rob. I'm fairly certain Matt and Tom, at swimming pools, would try and recreate this, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Because it's
so dangerous.
But you can give it a go. This is something you could try. It's so satisfying.
But it's using his wits, because he's using essentially Hans's force over take advantage of that.
Good on the webcam, that man.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Of course, it ends with Bon Appetit.
Yeah.
Bon Appetit.
At number 24 is the first Pierce Brosnan fight in our collection. After killing Electra King, Bond has to face off with Renard in a submarine. So blah blah blah, the world is not enough, can't be underrated, because we keep talking about how underrated it is. Even the people who say it's underrated underrate this scene, I think. It might not be one of the best fights, but I do think it's pretty satisfactory, and there's a lot of positives about this. This is a hark back to a Ken Adams set, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's with all the different colours, the different devices that we don't know what they do, we don't understand it, but they're designed in a way that the film goer sort of just understands enough to know that he's got to push that thing to make the whole nuclear thing starts.
Yeah.
But Bond has also he's almost got him, hasn't he? But then no, I need to rescue her, and she needs to help me. So there's an awful lot going on. There's a race against time, and we do get some decent fisticuffs in between.
Definitely. I mean, to me, the setting is the king of this. Doing it in a submarine, but doing it upside down, so it's very claustrophobic. Not knowing really the geography of going up, down, where that adds to it very much. In that, absolute full props to Brosnan. I mean, the man just oozes passion when he's Bond, doesn't he? You can tell just by his face how much he hates Renard, and how he just do that. He's gritting his teeth before he even jumps on him. He really does not like this guy. He's beating Renard. Gotta save Christmas Jones. That's the right thing to do. And then when he comes back, he gets battered. I mean, he's suffering after that.
Welcome to my nuclear family.
Renard has been built up. I think we could have just had a bit more of the fight and everything. I love the idea of the set. You're right, Tom. What a great idea that a submarine being, vertical or whatever, so that everything's upside down. Well, not upside down, but
those bars are now
the bars
that way, so you can hang on to them, and bang into them, and all.
It looks so Bond, but at the same time looks different to what we've seen before.
Yeah,
you've got the thing about
bright,
Christmas Jones.
White, rather than a dark,
really,
dingy summer.
Yeah, really, really bright. The intentions are brilliant. Having Bond face off with this villain in a really unique location. You've got the Bond girl there. You've got desperately trying to foil the scheme. Great music. Yeah, Brosnan giving it his all. Yeah, it is good.
Yeah.
It's also underrated in, the whole Brosnan pain face compilations. This is never.
Yeah.
The whole time he's there's bonus sort of, wet Brosnan doing lines whilst doing that face and all this. It's just, in the same way we've discussed Roger Moore fights are so Roger and we love them, and the noises. Pierce fights are brilliant, aren't they, as well?
Yeah.
He's so committed, isn't he? He's not. He don't care, like Harry says, he doesn't care how he looks. Like the grimaces and faces when he gets hit.
Something else which makes this fight unique is that almost the ghost of Elektra haunts both of them. Renard loves her, but Bond and her had almost more of a physical connection or something. And so, there's that hatred from Renard towards Bond. And, it's almost like Bond's come through the other side of it, still talking about her after she's died. And, obviously using that as a way to get to Renard, which I think is very Bond. He's not just doing it to be a shithouse. I think he's...
Yeah. Haven't you heard?
Yeah.
Are you really gonna commit suicide for her? You forget. I'm already dead. Haven't you heard? So is she.
If we never saw Renard hear that she'd died, you'd feel shortchanged.
Yeah. But that reaction from him.
Yeah.
Like he loses his cool, doesn't he? He is the one who was obsessed. He's the one who was obsessed with Elektra. It reveals it even more.
The idea that Renard's got this anger face after Brosnan tells he's dead.
Yeah.
But then the idea of how dejected he looks when Brosnan says she's waiting for you. No, he's not dejected that he's going to die because he's already said I'm already dead. He's not bothered about dying. He's dejected because her plans failed. It's got a very satisfying ending. Brosnan putting back the tube, pressing the button and impaling Renard, and Renard's face when he dies, like she's waiting for you, and he just looks absolutely traumatized. It's a very satisfying finale.
It's just that bit more serious than Tomorrow Never Dies. Like I don't think this would quite work in Tomorrow Never Dies, and even the music, like she's waiting for you, and then when it goes in, like it is really good.
She's waiting for you.
At number 23, we have the biggest bar brawl of the lot. This is License to Kill's amazing barrelhead fight. So the barrelhead bar fight, which is loved by nearly all Bond fans, I think. You can feel the punches, but then it's got the comedy elements that are added to it. It's very John Glenn. It's another example that this film is not just some dreary, boring, overly serious film. There's so much colour and character in this one scene alone. And it's got absolutely everything, this fight, hasn't it?
It just adds to my theory that really this is just like a Western. I think it's a bar fight, isn't it, in that traditional sense of that suddenly everyone starts fighting. It's like this, that someone throws a punch, someone misses, someone punches someone else, and then it's suddenly everyone's being hit around the head by a chair. And it's that classic kind of... But, again, exactly who you were focusing on. That... where Benicio del Toro's characters, where Pam is, where Bond is, where Bond is fighting and someone, at the side, and there are, like you say, there are moments of levity right at the beginning where the waitress tries to get past the guy and she sort of doesn't know how to, and then, and it starts off really tense, and Dalton is just so good at having that kind of smouldering intensity that when he does, smack the guy's face on the table. It's like, oh, it's like, oh no, he's so capable. It's kind of like slightly worrying, that you're going to let rip and he's just going to end up like maiming people. He has that sort of unpredictability about it, which I always really liked. It's like you never. I don't think there's only one or two moments where you get to see that. Only John Glenn would have someone being, a sort of attempted to be gouged by like a swordfish. Reaction to it, like he swears, doesn't he? He does say he does drop an F-bomb, but you don't quite see it, and you obviously don't hear it. If you watch it, he goes, "What the."
Oh my God! Again?
You can just catch it.
Check that.
It looked, well, it does to me anyway. Maybe it's I'm projecting. How are you going to escape this? How do you have a fight that feels dangerous? Because these are really dangerous characters, that Bond is dealing with.
Yeah,
you've seen that. That they are capable of all sorts. So to see him have that, to match them and be reminded that actually he's capable. Also, a great introduction to Pam, who is capable and is not to be messed with. And obviously has thought it through. Obviously bringing the shotgun and surprising people and helping Bond out. Bond being knocked down, watching a bit of a Roger moment where he stands up and does the dancing. It takes Brilliant. a lot of kind of Bond legacy boxes, and I think that also comes from obviously. It was still the same family making those films, and also John Glenn having been involved in all that. It's like almost slight greatest hits, but without it feeling forced. And I think at the end of the day, it is a fight that does sort of feel dangerous, and it ends in a obviously when you watch it first time, where one of the main characters gets shot in the back. So again, it's that there's always that sense of danger in this film, and I think this is pitched really well, where it's a proper old-fashioned scrap in a bar, but there's an edge to it, and I think with Dalton there's always that.
I think the pitching of it, like you say, is the genius of this fight, because, like you've both mentioned, License to Kill rightly has a reputation of being the more serious Bond films in terms of the themes and the plot, and it's got to find its humour somewhere, and in this film. This is the example of where it finds its light touches, where it finds its humour, the levity that you've spoken about, Chris. And it's not in one-liners necessarily. It's in entertainment. It's in an action scene where you've got all those things that Chris mentioned. You've got some serious things that happen because of it. But I think one of the primary functions of this fight is almost just to entertain audiences. Like, it is so much fun to watch because it's got that old-fashioned Western feel where there's so much going on. You've got extras in the background fighting. You've got ridiculous props being used. It is absolute entertainment. And like you said, Tom, it's almost universally popular because of it. It's so fun to watch. You're getting great punches and great fights. And yeah, it's fun. And this is where you find these moments of fun in License to Kill. And I think it's very clever filmmaking. It's not an opportunity being used to glorify Bond particularly in any way. He fares reasonably well in some of the fights, but it's so busy. There's so much going on. He takes a funny punch to the face and, goes down to ground, which is quite humorous. It doesn't diminish your view of Bond at all, seeing him, be a fairly ordinary fighter in this. It's just all about the entertainment, and that does give the opportunity for Pam to step up, which is great. And yeah, you've got Dario looking pretty scary. I think out of all the fight, he's the one who maintains the most threat in a way, even above Bond. Dario doesn't really enter into any of the silliness. He holds back a little bit, and any involvement of him is actually quite scary and threatening, to the point where he obviously shoots Pam in the back, which is so bad.
It's Bond totally out of his element, which completely fits with the film and the themes of the film. He's gone rogue, so now he's in with some real shady characters in some really shady places. But again, it's another brilliantly put together set, another brilliantly choreographed fight. Clothes are brilliant from Absolute Evidence. There's some unbelievable mullets going on everywhere. The use of his surroundings again is classic Bond, swinging off lights and sort of teaming up with Pam is also, it's bringing Bond forward as well. I just think it's just so great. And of course, there's oodles of story there as well. Benicio del Toro comes across as a really unique villain for the series. Utterly unhinged and psychopathic.
La Señorita Bouvier. Don't I know you from somewhere?
No.
Oh, yes, I do. You used to fly charter planes for some friends of mine. I got a job for you. Why don't we go outside and we talk in private?
Take your hands off her. She's with me.
Nobody's asking you, gringo.
He's with me. Keep your hands on the table.
He's really enjoying it. He's smiling maniacally as, things go wrong around him. It's just so great. And those little comedy touches and little flourishes remind you we're in the world of the movies here, and boy, isn't it fun.
We've not seen Bond quite in a bar fight like this, but you feel that this is a real place, that we could just have turned up to this place.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they have fights quite often.
Let me get it. The way imagine if you did that in a normal pub.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's the...
He's had enough.
Yeah.
Now. Okay.
Let me get it. No!
He's had enough. Run a tab.
Okay.
We've had Dirty Love, which is a good idea to keep that going whilst, and then
Go to John.
Yeah, I love it.
Pam is actually better in this situation.
Yeah, she's come with a shotgun, which is a bit of a comedy.
Yeah, it is. It's brilliant.
Like you're carrying, and he shows the gun, and then like,
so good,
brilliant.
Oh.
Yeah.
You carrying? If they start shooting, you just hit the deck and stay there.
Dario, he's not superhuman. He gets punched pretty easily, and then and I know he gets up and with his knife and the straight arm, and
at the table, with like the
so
scary.
It is, he's so good.
Toady looking guy.
Yeah. At number 22 comes the first Daniel Craig fight in our countdown, and this one is one of the more beautiful fights. A very famous fight, I think, this. Patrice has already had a fight with Bond on the train, but now this is in the Skyfall high building in Shanghai. Bond is sort of snooping around, following him. It's quite Bond, he's doing some spy work. They go up to this floor with that sort of jellyfish. It's Roger Deakins, isn't it? He's the reason this fight's famous, I'd say, more than anything else. We get a very well choreographed fight. Most of it is one shot, I think, slightly zooming in before the fall to his death.
I was blown away when I first saw it.
Yeah.
It reminds me very much of like a Maurice Binder title sequence.
Yeah, brilliant.
Shadows and the thing in the jellyfish in the background. It could very easily be a title sequence. Yeah. It's different, and the fighting in Skyfall for me is all very similar like that. So it's got a similar style. So if you are not as into this kind of style, these fights are not going to be as high up on your list. But what this will do is that this one is something completely different. And it's memorable for the camera work and for the shots. Granted, I think some people would say, yeah, but I can't actually, I'd rather see what's going on. That's fair enough.
There's been nothing like it in a Bond film before. I think it is, this is where Roger Deakins is doing all his magic. I think it's great, and I think in other films, for other scenes, I think it would be perfect. And I think that's my only issue with it. It seems slightly out of kilter with a Bond film. But again, like you say, on paper, it sort of makes sense why you'd want to do that if it is like a homage to, Maurice Binder.
It's a really unique kind of setting for a Bond film, and these, the sort of glass within the building and the different images and everything, and then being across from the other skyscraper where Severine is and the guy getting shot. I like the little gadget with the hole and Patrice shooting through that. It took me a couple of goes to realise what prompts Patrice to see Bond. It's like his reflection when the lights change, which I think is quite good. I think that's quite Bond. The actual action is not what the director, and obviously with Roger Deakins, director of photography, are most interested in, which is, probably not what I would do in an action thriller adventure film. Full props for trying to do something different, to achieve, and they do achieve something unique, but perhaps again at the expense of the tension of the action itself.
You do hear the noise of when the outside glass smashes.
Yeah.
So obviously you're that high up, it's terrifying, the wind and everything. I do love the idea of the buildings opposite looking at each other.
Yeah.
You can stare at someone knowing that they can't get you. I love that.
Yeah, I think that's great. And another thing, like you said about the glass being smashed, I think probably a director or even director of photography who was more used to like action. There's a bit where Bond grabs onto, he's falling off and grabs onto Patrice's gun to pull himself back up. I don't know whether you realise that. Yeah.
So I can't follow the fight. I don't know who's hitting who. And I really don't. I'd love to know. One single choreographed shot where you've got two people taking it in turns to hit each other, essentially. Again, when he falls and he bounces and he's, tumbling, whatever, none of that feels... I don't buy any of this. I just don't. I don't think any of it... So it's not earned any jeopardy for me at all. I really want it to work because I love the jellyfish motif and the fight motif and all that kind of stuff.
I do think it's a really good setup. A lot of these things, it's a great idea.
I mean, in some ways, whoever's shot isn't massively relevant, is it? Because it's more like that crumbs in terms of he finds the chip, doesn't he? And then that leads him to Macau and cashes in and stuff from there.
It's trying to show, isn't it, that this guy is so scary, Silver, that this chap is happy to do his job and then I'll fall to my death. I won't tell him anything. Yeah, which is a very Bondian trope, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Who's got
the list? It's the extension of fella from Dr. No. He'd rather have cyanide than account to his superiors for cyanide.
Number 21 on our list is more out of a horror film, featuring Jaws on a train. Superb stuff. Growing up, I used to think Roger was smaller than Sean Connery, much, much smaller. And that's probably because of Jaws.
Yeah.
Because Roger's 6'2", 6'3", and in his hand...
Major Gill's hand is ridiculous.
It's so scary, isn't it? And Roger's acting in this scene, his face, he looks in real trouble through most of this scene.
Yeah, he doesn't look interested in looking like a superhero or an action hero in some like that moment when he's being strangled up against the wall and you've got the size of Jaws' hand. He looks absolutely desperate and helpless. I wonder if it's acting at all. Like, he looks like there's a really nice guy being strangled against the wall here. It's such an innocent, dying face. It's harrowing.
It starts with horror, though. I used to find this really difficult to watch. That is horror. Her opening
it's horrendous.
The noise of the train as well.
Pure horror. Absolutely.
It is.
And then, it's awful. He sort of knocks her out so that he can kill her. And, so heroic Bond coming to save
Dracula as well, isn't it? It's like,
wow.
It could give you nightmares, couldn't it? That horror element to it is real. It's scary. It's the way they're shot as well. These deaths and this approach that Jaws does is actually, it's so slow and heavy.
Yeah.
Whenever he's going in for the bite, or whenever he's got people, by the neck, whatever, he's not vicious and fast and tearing them to pieces. He's so slow and heavy.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying.
He's like subdued them first so that he can go.
Oh,
it is it's pure horror. It's a horror.
It is, it is.
It's really well done, really well, directed and shot and everything.
Think about how hard it is to do this scene with 2 small train carriages, 3 people, one of which is utterly gigantic. To make sure that we can all follow it. Again, it's the choreography of the fight is so great. Yeah. And they're all totally committed. When he punches and his fist goes right through the door, that's like the stakes are escalating at that stage. Yeah.
Obviously, you want to protect Bond's reputation as being the hero of the film, but there are times where you've got to make the villains look really, really terrifying, and they've got to be the ones that have much more of a physical threat. Yeah. Like here, Bond is so inferior to Jaws. Like, he's so much smaller. How is he going to do it? And that's when Bond becomes the hero, because he is the underdog in some of these fights. He's not always dead on to win. When you've got henchmen like Jaws, you are actually afraid and wondering how on earth can you defeat him. When he gets the lamp as an electrocution, it's a great idea and it's funny. It is quite funny, the suspense as Bond is getting the light fitting close to his teeth. Yeah, it does go on maybe about 4 seconds longer than you'd expect, because Jaws, like, really
can't stop it.
Is it a smile? What is that face that he's doing?
Yeah, close your mouth.
yeah.
Sound effects though are so crucial in this one again, and that train, that consistent train carriage noise, and the smashes and the all the bangs and everything. I think it's really good.
And the clothes, Rob, more tan and blue going on.
Honestly, this is Sunday afternoon round Grandma and Granddad's clothes going on here. Like, really is. And I think, like, Bond, how good is Bond here? He realises that, his fists aren't going to cut the mustard here. So everything, right from the minute he sees Jaws, he goes for the champagne. He doesn't try to pull him back. Right, champagne. Oh, heck, that's not going to work. Right, he pulls off a table, doesn't he, at one point, and whacks him with a table. Like, right, that's not working now. He's got to up the ante again, and he uses everything at his disposal. And in doing so, it shows how resourceful and brilliant the character of Bond is. Makes you fall in love with the character all over again. And essentially, he's just getting beat up for 3.5 minutes. Or 2.5 minutes. He's getting thrown around like a rag. He's getting folded in his granddad pajamas.
He does look like the dead man in Falling Towers, doesn't he? All folded up in his pajamas.
You've got Jaws, which is this huge character, and played by this actor who's like massive. The fact that you're putting him in, having a fight in a small place is really interesting to begin with in the first place. Like you say, being kind of horror elements, and also the fact that Triple X is just fast asleep while this is all going on around her, just completely oblivious. But I think that moment where he picks him up and he pins him to the ceiling is just absolutely incredible. It's like any other Bond doing that. And I think it just, again, like Rob's saying, that kind of having to use his wit and to escape because he cannot, physically overpower it. Yeah, like he is like a mix between sort of Frankenstein's monster and Dracula. That kind of bet. He was with all the neck biting, kind of what he wants to do. That physicality to it, because he's just such a massive dude throwing this ragdoll around the brown ragdoll.
Only the ingenuity can get Bond out of this, and probably the haters will probably say, "Oh, the physics of it doesn't work," or why is it electric? He's not wired in or anything like that. Slight action as he goes out of the window.
Yeah. The look Bond gives us, he's out the window as well. He's so good.
Yeah.
You're looking like...
A no score again.
Yeah, again.
You don't need the gun, Commander.
That depends on your definition of safe sex.
Breaking into the top 20, we have a more unusual fight. Possibly the sexiest fight in James Bond history. Bond meets Xenia.
Let's be honest, the sexiest fight. Pierce Brosnan's Bond and Xenia on a top in the steam room with the towel.
And the hot coals.
And the hot coals. And the noises that, Bang has nothing on these noises.
Yeah.
Brosnan's love rug, your definition of safe sex. But there is a fight in this amongst all this noise going on.
I was too young when I watched this. I was 10 years old or something, aware of this thigh thing. So it was scary to see whether she would, manage to get her thighs round Bond. And then he would, what do you do about it? A fight scene that's also a bit of a sex scene.
Yeah.
I've not seen that before in Bond. We've not seen it since.
No, since.
I think.
No.
And where is it? Where is Bond at this point? He's just having a crystal dip in a pool.
I think he's at his hotel.
Right, yeah. But Crystal, he's having a
backstroke, just floating.
The music to begin with, like,
Yeah.
I'm going to say it. I love it.
The music.
I love the music. It's like you watch it there. It's completely inappropriate for what's going on, but I would never change it for the world.
No, I know.
That's the story, isn't it? I think. Take a step back, away from the funny side, the weird side of this fight. How unbelievably original it is. How unique this is. This character trait. So, and therefore the scenes that you get because of Xenia. It is incredible, and yet it fits in with the Bond world. Obviously, sex plays a big part of the Bond world, and yet he's coming up against someone where that's a physical weapon. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, it's difficult in this scene to work out who's trying to sex the other the most to death, because Bond. There are these odd moments where obviously she's all up for it, but there's these odd moments where he keeps stepping away and then coming back. No, he doesn't come back, but he goes in for kisses, gets himself bitten. But these odd moments where he casually just saunters off to get something, and then she jumps on him, and then he casually goes there's these odd breaks in the fight.
It's when he's casually reaching over his gun that she comes and kicks him, and then I think he underestimates her a bit. And when she starts kissing him, he puts his gun and his towel down as though.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I think one of the big problems with it is that Brosnan's pain face and his sex face are not dissimilar.
Yeah, so true.
You don't know if he's enjoying this or if he's not.
Yeah, it's built for Brosnan facials, isn't it? This scene.
I can only imagine Brosnan's Bond doing this scene. Yeah. It perfectly sums up Xenia's character. The irony of her is that she is more turned on by killing than she is sex. Oh, sorry, I know it's really inappropriate, but she's orgasming when she's killing him.
Yeah.
It's very confusing. It's very twisted, but it's very, very, very original.
I think it's brilliantly done, brilliantly written. Like I said, it's so original and it's weird. It's totally unusual. It's not like anything you've seen before. But like Matt's hinted on, there's something scary about it. There's something unknown. You don't know how to, when you're watching it, you don't know how to react. You don't know this is so strange, weird, and such a great balance of all kinds of unusual things. And it's handled so well. And then you've got two perfectly cast characters doing it.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It's actually really inventive. Clever how it's done as well.
It is. Yeah. I think the quips at the start, that depends on your definition of say sex, and then at the end in terms of no more, those are great lines as well and really well delivered. Not they're funny, but they're not silly.
No. No more foreplay.
I also really love that small little not small, but that little involvement of a henchman that Bond is aware of and easily. I think that's amazing. Just little things like that.
Using sex as a weapon, like she's killing him, but getting some enjoyment. Like, I don't know quite what's
What
going
is that
on.
Enjoyment, yeah.
There is some threat. I do find it quite scary. He's quite vulnerable here, Bond. He's not, he really has to get out of it, if you know what I mean.
It's introduced really well, this fight, and I think it ends actually in a really sensible way as well. It ends in a really good way.
Take me to Yanis.
Who says Roger can't do fistfights?
Clumsy old man.
It may start and end with some of the best quips ever, but Roger Moore's James Bond does bleed.
You really do have a magnificent abdomen.
So Bond is obviously trying to get information, and the fight begins whilst he's examining her magnificent abdomen, which is unbelievably Roger. You can't get more Roger than this. And then it starts in a really funny way, doesn't it? By him being knocked whilst he's kissing her, and then he swallows it's so Roger, the overly done sound effects and everything. We feel the punches, the noises of them, fairly confined, a bit like the Peter Franks in the lift. But this time, Bond is up against three heavies. All three of them they're bigger than Bond, aren't they? Yeah. They're not like muscle men, but they're big guys.
It's a very kind of Goldfinger, backstage, kind of, a bit behind in this sort of changing room, and you sort of think that with Roger the fights aren't brutal, but this is really he's smashing people's heads against walls, heads into mirrors. He's spraying people in the face with perfume or what have you. It's such a ruckus that they actually end up exposing the film crew because of what's happening, in the mirror. That's the sort of fight it is that they almost break the fourth wall, so you absolutely go for hell for leather. And I think for me, this is where Roger's great. This is years, again, like we said about like The Spy Who Loved Me, years and years of practicing in TV, the same, persuaders, always ready to give someone a kick, particularly up the backside, or to kick someone over. Great. Starts off with a joke, ends with a joke. It's fun, and it feels it's the right side of brutal. It's the right side of keeping Bond as someone who can handle himself, and also go up against people who you wouldn't, necessarily think he would struggle with, because they don't, like you say, you don't think hang on, here's these really hard men who are going to beat up James Bond, but they do put up a decent fight.
I love this fight. I really do. I think it's everything you want in a Roger fight. It's brutal, but it adds, we're going to put hairspray in people's faces, and that's what you only get that in the Roger era, and that's what you want. It's only in a Roger era that you're going to start with a John Barry score, which is basically porno sax music, and then within a few seconds, and then you're straight into really intense battle music. It's an incredibly claustrophobic fight. And absolute kudos to Rocky Taylor in this fight, because he takes everything in this. He's the one who does the big punches. He's the one who gets the spray to the face. And he's the one who absolutely gets smashed into that mirror. I mean, he gets battered. It's brutal. With Saida just standing there helpless. I mean, the fact it's in a belly dancer's dressing room with people on the door whilst Roger has swallowed a bullet. It's only ever going to happen in The Man with the Golden Gun.
When you watch it, it's thrilling enough, I think, that you just go with it. You literally roll with the punches. It's not too long. It's not too short. It does feel like there's a lot of work gone into choreographing it and thinking about it, using the elements. And yeah, the end payoff is as good as it gets, isn't it? It's one of the all-time... Probably one of the most famous Roger lines, I would say.
It's often quoted in our household. So.
That's the real test. Yeah. Brilliant.
I've lost my charm!
Not from where I'm standing.
This fight is not only brilliant, but absolutely hilarious. It's Bond at the top of a building with a bald guy, and one of the best quips you'll ever get. I think people will definitely remember this fight. They might not remember the physical bit as much as the way it ends, of course. But the fight with Zandor. So in this, Spy Love Me, at the start, Stromberg introduces the duo, aren't they? They're a pair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Zandor and Jaws are a pair, underrated. And he, of course, gets them to go out and seek Bond. And we know that Jaws is obviously the bigger threat, so Sandor's going to get seen off first, basically. And this is... I mean, we've got Mrs. Fekesh. Never mind that.
Yeah. Well, it starts off as a bit of a shootout, slight shootout.
No!
Zandor's just shot Mrs. Fekesh.
No!
And then...
oh,
sorry.
For it.
Sorry, he's just shot Bond, but Bond has used her as a huge shield.
Mathis, yeah.
And then Bond shoots towards him. You know, it's not like it's all contrived for a fist fight, but then, then he goes chasing after him.
Oh, it's all happening. It's all great. There's birdsong all the way throughout.
Yeah.
It's so weird. But you know that they're going to end up outside, so you're being, the foreshadowing, you're foretelling the story. They get up outside, all the clothes are absolutely out of this world. They are off from both of them. So much luxury tan and brown going on. And then obviously that colour palette extends, so there's tan, brown and like baby blue everywhere. This is one of my favourite fights in the entire franchise. It really is. Big swinging Roger punches, Roger throwing down. I always love watching Roger punch. He's brilliant. Because I always love how honest he was about it. And he was always like, oh, I'm a right softy, or something words to that effect. Like, I'd be absolutely useless in a fight. Yeah. These people are amazing, and he always called it play fighting, and it looks so much fun. And it reminds me so much of making Bond movies with you guys growing up. It really does. Yeah, again, story with fight, all happening at once. Bond gets what he needs, gets information, and it's just so enjoyable. His shoes as they're overlooking the little dance on the ledge. He's like, it's awful. The people, there's pedestrians everywhere. Real people, real trousers everywhere. It's just, I love it all. And the kick to the bum.
I knew it, Rob.
It's my favourite thing. It's so good. Like, there's a great big target looking at me.
It's so Roger. It's unbelievable.
It's so good. Volleys that behind. I love it.
Oh, Rob. So good. There's so much, like, the first thing you said about, birdsong and that.
Yeah.
The sound effects, what an absolute treat for the sound. From obviously, to the footsteps, running, the chase that starts everything off. But then, you've got this bird song and the story of the sound of a busy city in the background. And it just brings this, like, atmosphere of the rest of the world is fairly oblivious to what's going on. The world is passing by, as it's a normal day in a city. And yet you've got this rooftop fight right, on top of a roof where someone's about to plummet down. But it's just a normal day in the city, which is such a great balance. I think it sounds brilliant, this fight. The sound is amazing. Every punch, every chop, and every kick to the bum. Yeah.
That noise from Sandor, though, I can't. And then there's got a really painful, shot to his, thigh.
There's like a crack of vertebrae at some point. It's horrendous.
15. So,
the way Sandor wears this suit as well is like, is he bursting out of the suit, or is the suit like bursting out of him? I can't like the collar, like everything's so big and it's amazing.
Like he puts his arms around his neck and it's just holding shoulders and trapezius muscles in place.
I think really, in my own thoughts are, someone's got to fall off there.
Yeah.
I don't think it. I think if you're having fights or chases at big heights and stuff, really, it's like you're promising the audience. I think, but the way, it's just absolute genius.
It's a lovely balance between it's a humorous, it's an interesting, funny, humorous way of killing him. And yet there's still a serious phrase from Roger, and you've got Sandor going, it's still a death.
And then I have that really wide shot where you're just reminded it's just two blokes just having a fight on a rooftop, and everyone else is sort of going on about their day. These are just two guys just absolutely scrapping. Probably one of the most satisfying kind of payoffs to a fight. Again, mission accomplished. I find it's more information for him to go out and, and to complete his mission, and he gets that information. And he kills the baddie at the same time. The way that Roger kicks, you don't really see Connery kick people, do you, in that kind of way? Yeah. It's like an uppercut, but with your foot. But with the flares, obviously, it adds even more. How are you going to finish him off? Well, I'm going to use his own body weight to get an advantage. Kind of push him off. So.
And you need a tie, don't you? If he wasn't wearing a tie, it wouldn't work. So the suits come in.
Exactly. Yeah.
All Bond thinks he needs is pyramids. It's not like you will need to, you will need to find him, or just pyramids. That'll do. Yeah, it's class.
Where's Peckish? Pyramids.
And it could have ended there, but what a helpful chap. That's the Roger, isn't it? Well.
Yeah.
Chap.
Yeah. He doesn't smile when he says it. What a helpful chap.
What a helpful chap.
You try to think about the end of that and not smile.
At number 17, we have a critical fight which marked a new era of James Bond, the Daniel Craig era. And goodness me, this is very, very different to anything we'd seen before.
Made you feel it, did he? Well, you needn't worry. The second is... Yes. Considerably.
Completely different, again, to anything that we've probably seen before. There's clearly a shift in kind of focus and intention. This one, again, as with other fights we've mentioned, is interspersed with other things. So it's part of this black and white opening to Casino Royale. Bond appearing in Dryden's office, and there's dialogue there.
M really doesn't mind you earning a little money on the side, Dryden. She'd just prefer it if it wasn't selling secrets.
The main focus is the fight in the toilet with Dryden's contact. So the fight, we see it's brutal, smashing into things, into the sinks, firing a bullet into one of the sinks, it collapses, trying to drown him, and so much going on. There have been plenty of toilet fights in action films, usually really good, and this one is a brutal one. Clearly, like I say, a shift in intention and tone and everything.
I mentioned how, some of the fights feel quite clean. That is not the case here. This is pure life and death between these guys. And you definitely get that impression. It is. We're no longer in sort of like a fantasy era of James Bond, where, you can have these fights and people might get electrocuted or whatever. This is very, very real life and people are dying. So, yeah. Very cool. But, in a lot of ways, extremely, extremely cool. And it's a matter of taste.
This is very brutal. I think this is about as brutal as it comes, if I'm being honest. It's a statement, isn't it? It's a statement at the start of the film, is that this is what we are going to do. The fight itself is really good. You can't get away from that. It's brutal. He's going through toilet doors. He's drowning someone in a sink. Sinks coming off. If you don't like that, that's fine, preference. But the fight itself is brilliant. But it's overproduced. We've got black and white all over it. And the score is very much... It's too much. It's too much what's going on in the score. A toilet with cubicles is very claustrophobic by nature. But it doesn't feel like that through the score. The direction of the action is brilliant. The choice to put the flashback ideas, the colour in, takes away from the fight. But I personally don't buy this view where I see a lot of people say this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
It does a good job of setting out the stall. This is where we are. This is what film this is going to be. It's going to be more brutal, more immediate. Is that the right? Immediate sort of in terms of danger and everything. more brutal one-on-one fights. And obviously, this is the first kind of we're seeing of Daniel Craig's Bond. Probably a little bit too gritty. We've got the black and white, so we've got him and Dryden chatting.
How did he die? Your contact? Not well.
Cutting away to this as a flashback in a grainier camera filter or whatever to help show the audience that this is in a separate time. I can understand that at the time it was like, whoa, they do mean business here. They're setting out the stall. They're putting the money where the mouth is a lot of the time. For me, I think you lose something when a fight is in flashback, in segments, because it slows down. It stops, and then you're back in it, and then it stops.
Because you've decided to set it in a toilet, like what like sound effects can you have? Like, is it going to be like squeaking on the floor of the shoes, or someone in a or a toilet, like, or maybe a guy in the back, like, like what? Like, because you've set it here, there's only so much you can do.
You do get grunts, not because of poo, but because of pain or exerting energy. So they could have done a bit more than that. We have to bear in mind this is the first scene of the film. It's the first. And so they're sort of trying to pile it all in, if you know what I mean. So
yes, yeah, and that, by the same token, is one of the long-standing problems I've got with this scene is the fact that they set it in a toilet. You're going to introduce your new James Bond, and you do it in a toilet.
Well, GoldenEye,
Brosnan.
Well, although we do see him, doing a bungee jump.
He's just fair, very fair, John. Yeah, very fair.
First of all, we think that he's gotten rid of him by putting his head down in the toilet. That's how we think it is. And then at the end, we get the gunshot into the gun barrel.
Yeah.
I understand what they're doing. It's cohesive. It makes sense. I like the idea that it's from the perspective of Fisher, and that he's looking at Bond, and Bond shoots the gun there. I think that this one makes sense in the context of what it's doing, even if it's not your preference. The whole thing is quite gimmicky, isn't it? The focus isn't the action, is it? The focus is all the other parts that go with it. And I've said already that my main thing is that the best action scenes are the ones where you are just exclusively looking at action.
Yeah.
But here it's flashbacks, it's camera filters, it's big scores, and then it's introduction to gun barrels. The fight is only one part of a lot that's going on.
Coming in at number 16, it's a classic Roger fight in Venice, with sticks, swords, loads of smashed glass, a bit of opera, and then a piano. Goodness me, this is great stuff, isn't it?
This is actually quite a long, drawn-out fight that takes place. Is it 2 rooms or 3 rooms? It does,
three, I'd say. Yeah.
It travels up and up and up, which is great. One that I remember from being a child watching it,
hearing it.
Yeah, there are a lot of sounds to take in, a lot of sounds to impersonate as kids. It's funny because there's something funny about the character Chang in the film in terms of he's fairly silent, doesn't do an awful lot, has a straight face pretty much throughout. He's present for some pretty horrible stuff earlier in the film, but then you get him here, the most animated he's ever been, the noisiest he's ever been. It's all about noise. Well, it's not all about noise, but it's a big thing. It takes place in this, what would you call it, a museum or
glass factory, whatever.
Yeah, where we've been before, and we've seen that room. We're familiar with it, and we're familiar with just a little bit of how precious everything is in there. The last scene, the last time we're in there, it's a very slow, quiet tour around the room, and everything's seen as precious. You've got to walk gently, calmly. As soon as you see that there's going to be a fight here, and one of them's got a massive bashing stick. I don't know what you call it.
Endo stick.
There we go. It's amazing. It's one of the fights in these films where there's no music up until the very end. So the emphatic smashes are what you're supposed to be kind of feeling. And it's almost to the point of being rewarding. It's like therapeutic, isn't it? Smashing stuff up. Because you can do this for therapy, can't you? You can go to rooms and just smash things up. All those times when you're as a kid going into museums and you're not allowed to touch things, you're not allowed to, go near things, you've got to be quiet. It's like, it's dreamland for some, where you can just tear it up. And it makes for some really comic moments, but I think it's an absolutely brilliant fight. It's absolutely brilliantly done. Well, so it's speckled with humour, but overall, it's a serious fight where Chang especially is going for it. Bond's mostly on the defense, and it's Chang going for it.
Like you, vividly remember this scene as a child. I think it was something that was ingrained in my memory. I will confess that I never realised it was Chang until his helmet came off. When I was a kid, I was genuinely quite surprised, and it was probably because of how noisy he is. And this silent man, all of a sudden, all you hear in this is screams and glass. That's all you ever hear throughout this fight. And I do agree with you about that mix of humour. I think that Moonraker has this tendency, because everything finishes on a funny note pretty much every scene, that people can just go, oh, it's the silly one. But there's actually, this fight is incredibly brutal beforehand. You've got a villain going at it using whatever means possible, using his karate background. Roger is on the defensive throughout this. That is an definitely in the bottom thing anyway. I love the sword fighting bit. I love when Roger picks up the sword and snaps the kendo stick. That's amazing. And I've always loved the little bit where he pulls off the vase and the alarm goes off, and then this the breastplate anyway, or the helmet or whatever it is. It's a very brutal fight in terms of being pushed into glass, and you feel the pain of it. What I also love about this is how it stops to tell the story and move the story on halfway through. I really like that it's got storytelling saying, oh, now I'm going to go to Rio because C&W, and you need that minute, and that just takes you out of it. And then Chang jumps in with the chain to strangle Bond after that. And I love that bit as well. I do love the idea of it going up in levels. It feels very much like a computer game. Stuff like that. And I absolutely love that.
I think it's quite underrated that chains get involved. I know there's lots of swords and sticks, but chains is that's much heavier, and that's, as you're getting towards the end of the fight, right, heck, kind of need to be pretty careful here. When people jump to conclusions about what Moonraker is, you've got to remind them of these scenes, and like so many others in the film. I know John said they might end with a quip, but the stuff that's gone before, this is serious stuff. It matters. It's a brilliant fight when you think about family viewing and fights that are too gritty to show your kids. I think this is the perfect middle for me. This is the perfect middle where there's weapons, sticks, smashing glass. Not everything feels real, and the stakes feel high. You feel people can get hurt. Every smash has impact, but it's really engaging and fun to watch, if that makes sense. It's not unpleasant to watch. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's full of imagination, isn't it? That's the thing. It's a great fight. I adore Roger's outfit in this.
Yes, I do.
The outfit is outstanding. The all black. I mean, quality.
It's so good, and it's so Bond again. The idea of absolutely trashing a room that as Harry says, has been introduced to us, and I can't remember, is it the sword or the vase that the only one of its kind, or I'm sure using whatever's around you, both actively, but also sort of secondary, to smash him into. It's not the scariest thing by any means in Moonraker, but there's just a slight scary element with particularly when you're a kid. I don't know why. It's I don't know. He's relentless, and we've not heard him talk before, so him coming at Bond like this is quite sort of scary. But Roger's great, and I think it's it's really very Bond, and it's very Rogers Bond, the way he's sort of fighting back and defending. Going up the levels to different rooms is really interesting for a fight, really entertaining, really memorable, and it does fit in with Moonraker. No score until you get to the music of once they get up to the final level, hearing that opera and the guy, singing it with all his heart and everything. It's brilliant. It's doing exactly what it wants to do, and it's doing it really well.
Even that element of a live opera performance, that's been kind of recreated in other films.
And I love the ending. The idea that, yes, Chang gets thrown through glass again, but this time it goes through it all the way down to a piano, because you couldn't have him thrown through glass, because that's all that's happened throughout the fight. So it's like the ultimate climax.
Yeah. I always remember as a kid that, like his bare legs being on show when he was through the piano, like a bit like, what? You didn't have any trousers?
Exactly. You talk about scary, there's also that weird element as a kid, like, what, like, bare legs, tights, underskirts. It's like, what?
Play it again, son.
At number 15, we have a colossal fight between a sumo wrestler type guy who is actually The Rock's granddad.
Wow.
So good.
This is the fight at the Asato Chemicals plant. He gets the mask on to manage to get there, pretends to be unconscious.
Good evening.
It's just an incredibly physical fight with objects being thrown around. The hardest guy ever.
The spats are outrageous, aren't they? Seeing them, like, the little white shoes going everywhere is so nice to watch. Also, the trench coat and spats is a really interesting look for Bond, I think.
Yeah.
Quite unwieldy in a fight like this, where every move is totally critical. It's funny, I want to say the word grubby and desperate, like, as in the moves, I mean, like the people slipping and, it's quite unclean. They're sliding everywhere. You can see, like, things getting ripped, and it's brilliant, but it never goes over to a certain point of overt violence or anything like that, or no one's sweating or anything as uncouth as that. It's like a proper 60s movie fight, like a proper dust up between two, and like it's choreographed so well. But isn't it great? You can see everything, and you can see how great the set is. The camera at times is totally static. You can see. Like that when they're getting bashed into walls and thrown about and all that kind of stuff, sometimes going through walls as well. You can see just where everything is, and because you can follow it, you can invest that much easier in it.
The standout is him picking up the settee and hitting with it, because not only is it shows that obviously Connery, when you see him, he's as tall, if not taller than his adversary, and just the fact that he's able to pick up a leather sofa and using it as a sort of ram, hitting it, and when that sofa hits his chest, the impact, it feels like an earthquake. It's like this huge, it's like, boom. And for him to sort of like, he brushes it off and it hits, and that is, I've never seen that in a film where someone picks up a sofa and hits someone with it, and then swipes his legs out from underneath him using it. It's absolutely incredible. Like, this is what I'm kind of assuming, if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming this is obviously Bob Simmons. So I think that I just love the idea of him turning up on the set and going, right, well, in the script it says they fight. Right, well, here you are, pick up that pick up that leather sofa and see what we can do with that. And it's just incredible. It feels dangerous. It feels like anything can happen. It feels like you feel it. Like I was saying before, there's not blood. There's no kind of like, they say, barely sweating, but that you feel the impact. When he hits the ground, he gets hit by the sofa. When he gets thrown through it, you just absolutely feel it. Just really well shot. Knows when to take a wide shot, so you know exactly we've moved. So now this is what's happening. Here's you get a bit closer for this and that. I think it really does stand up. We often talk about, obviously, From Russia with Love is like the high mark in fights, but I think this is, for such a short scene, it is a hell of a fight.
Ken Adams giving you this unbelievable set that looks amazing. I'd forgotten there was 2 rooms, and of course you get flow ripped through that snatch. It looks so good, but because he's got a big space to deal with here, you have your claustrophobic fights, which are brilliant. You've got an open space, but that means they can wield these huge items and use the furniture, which, of course, ultimately Bond uses as his weapon to try and beat this guy.
I suppose your initial understanding of a fight is punches. If two people are gonna have a fight, it's gonna be kicking and punching, kicking and punching, kicking and punching. But this demonstrates all the other ways that you can try and defeat somebody using sofas, using, ornaments. It's like, right, so a fight isn't just kicking and punching, it's about beating, it's about being clever, it's about finding objects. And I think that's so good. So when Chris talks about the sofa there, it's like, wow, what an idea. I wouldn't have thought that you could do that. Like this is a new idea. And I think this fight perfectly walks that balance between being well-planned, choreographed, showing you things that you've never seen before, and yet it feels real and realistic. It doesn't go to the lengths of people doing spinning kicks in the air or anything like that. It's showing you things that you can do in a fight yourself, if you know what I mean. You can use furniture. It's showing you, it's giving you a new perspective on how to win, which is so good. And yeah, just that sofa and all the stuff that's used, the sound effects, the lack of music is just perfect. Rob talked about the slippy floor, and you feel that because there's no music, you can hear the sliding shoes and obviously the sliding sofa and everything. And I think part of that you don't see in the fight that leads into it is that it's been incredibly tense before this moment in terms of sneaking around. Silence has been absolutely golden up until this point. Bond is tiptoeing around, sneaking around, trying not to raise any alarm. And then suddenly you're having a fight where there's so many sound effects, so many bangs and bumps. The silence has been broken by every punch and every rip and every tear. And you feel like, right, not only is his cover blown, but he could be in real danger here now as well. And it's that perfect balance between, Bond's going to win, but look at the size of this guy. How is he going to do it? It's an amazing fight. And it always excites me and blows me away when I see it when watching You Only Live Twice. And in fact, one more thing to mention, seeing it at the cinema, again, for that sound design on the big screen, because obviously it's in a room or two rooms, as you say, Tom. But you do get some great wide shots of this Ken Adams set. The camera does come back and show you how they're trying to travel across the room. And sorry, I'm on one now. But also, what every good fight has, which I love, is obviously you've got intense moments, but then you've got a moment where they stop and they face each other and they're figuring out, they're staring at each other, weighing each other up a bit of an odd job way, kind of floating around, a bit like in a boxing ring. Like, what's next? And I love it when you get those intervals in a fight. I absolutely love it.
The location, it couldn't be in any other Bond film. This, obviously the set, but the Japanese objects like samurai sword and obviously the statue, and then a huge tree in the middle of the room. But it's just so unique. A villain who's just in, this is relatively early on in the film, a sumo wrestler. It's not silly where the Bond ends up having a sumo fight with him, but he's obviously, a really big, capable guy, but he's not like the main henchman of the film or anything like that. He's just in this section, and I really like that because it means it stands out. It's memorable. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I loved that when the fight, and this is why the fight includes great writing. It's not just there for the sake of it as well, but it's utterly crucial in that it reveals the safe. And the safe door just swings slightly open. So, you've got story during the fight as well, because while, they clatter into the background, and again, the physical performances by both guys are so good. They're tumbling about all over the place, crashing into things. Obviously, the stunt performers, absolutely superb, but like a lot of good Bond fights, there's a very satisfying finale to it. Not just with the welly on the back of the head with the statue, but with the cheers. With the Siamese vodka.
Yeah. Cheers. Siamese vodka.
This can only be described as the funniest fight in the whole James Bond series. It's Bond inflating Kananga to death.
Oh, slowly, Whisper, slowly.
Let our diners assemble.
There's something about him that's like, he's pretty intimidating in a lot of ways, and particularly when there's like some comedic sort of people and see he laughing next to him, and then he's like got a straight face.
Yeah.
But then in this fight, I mean, I started laughing straight away there. Yeah, like smiling, and then when Bond like kicks him or punches him, like he spins around. He's class though. He's a great actor, Yaphet Kotto.
I know. Before we get to the silly ending, because that's what everybody's thinking of, we do get a decent, short but decent fist fight with the knife. Kananga's grinning and smiling at Bond, and Bond at first is a bit what, and then the next shot you see Roger like.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
the setting for it as well is just so iconic, so Bond. You know, a little bit larger than life, Austin Powers.
To me, this one is actually the most memorable bits or the best bits, and not so much the fight, but actually how Dr. Kananga and Bond look at each other, smiling.
Yeah.
That's what does it for me. Yeah. That is so unique. Yeah. How he holds the knife, how he moves, and it's also ingrained in your memory how it does, and I love it. The fight itself is actually quite minimal in some ways. There's not loads of it.
Oh.
By Hamilton, but, the movement is outstanding.
Very much a dance, isn't it? You know, kind of like he does. Like I say, he sort of stalks Bond with these, and he sort of taunts him as well, doesn't he, with the knife?
Yeah.
He's like that smile, like he can't wait to sort of do him in. But it's and again, like just the simple use of a knife, which is again it's a sort of underwater, so you got kind of like scuba equipment, so it makes sense for a knife to be there.
Yeah.
So it all kind of works really well, and then like when they actually get in the water, that kind of genuine kind of struggle and Kananga's face when he sees the shark, so he's like trying to shout shark while he's underwater. Which is hilarious. Again, one of those deeply scary characters as a kid, thinking like you don't want to get on the wrong side of him.
Yeah.
You know, when he's cross, you're going to know about it. And then you see it, but then he's like, you expect him to sort of go in quite serious with that knife, but he doesn't. It's like very different, which also makes it even more scary.
Yeah,
because he's like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this approach to being knifed by him.
So I completely love this film. I completely love this section. And I love the fact that they look really capable in a weird way around each other. You know, when they first square off. And there's, like you say, there's the dance. The clothes are out of this world.
Yeah.
They're absolutely, both outfits are absolutely ridiculous. The set is just astonishing. And there are sharks behind them.
Yeah.
So it adds such a layer of jeopardy. There are so many great hallmarks for Roger fights in there as well. Thumping noises, lovely kicks to torsos, and you can imagine it being in the butt as well. This great big boot in an area of the anatomy. The writhing fall into the water is
it's so Roger.
Honestly, I just couldn't love this more. And again, this is I think this fight is one of the formative reasons I love Bond. I really do.
Yeah.
Because you've got a supremely dangerous dude against our hero, and he's armed and our hero is not, but he still smiles at him while looking like the absolute bee's knees while they both fall into a shark infested pool. There's nothing about this that I don't think is incredible. It just isn't. I just adore it so much. It's so high on my list of favourite fights and moments. It really is.
Yeah, good. And as Matt sometimes says, there's that secondary threat, not just the dagger. The shark's in there. So the audience is going to assume, what happens if they go
What was it? Harry called it incidental animal threat.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've had silence for the fist fight. And then that's and then we're on to one of the greatest pieces of music ever written out.
He is ace in this, Roger. He really is.
And it's all him, pretty much. Most of it is him. Underwater, the shots.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny that, of course, you think, well, presumably Bond, it'll be the sharks that kill Kananga. Those inflatable bullets.
Yeah, so he's got it A bit like the cyanide. It's ready and waiting, is it, in his mouth?
Yeah.
Bond transfers it, doesn't he?
Yeah. He gets it from the magnet and then secretly puts it in his mouth.
The magnet, right.
I love how he puts it in his mouth, but then he steps on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Anger as a step ladder to get up. It's outrageous. Shithousery. That's what it is.
But also to make sure he's got less time to get back up.
Yeah.
Before he.
Yeah. Very Roger Moore.
Yeah.
Bit of housery. Think about how enjoyable it is.
It is.
If you're finding this boring, right, get in the bin.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, this is so
I mean,
fun.
we used to rewind this bit and we used to laugh our socks off, I'm afraid. Do we know who came up with the idea that he inflates and like a balloon rises?
That shot, zooming in, is it?
The fart noise when it goes to the roof.
Yeah.
James Seymour. If you don't cry laughing, then something's wrong, isn't it?
If imagine like the present day marketing opportunities, like get your own farting Kananga inflatable action figure playset.
We get it.
As a kid, you just accept it, but when you get a bit older, you're like, well, why does he? Obviously, it's helium, but then the physics don't quite work. You're like, why is he going to the ceiling and then explode? And obviously, if someone was to explode, there'd be a bit more mess than what looks like some carrier bags. It'd be a bin liner.
You'd be quite surprised if in Denis Villeneuve's Bond 26, a villain was
farting himself to inflation.
Where's Kananga?
Well, he always did have an inflated opinion of himself.
This fight may not be the longest, but this is surely one of the best end sequences in any film, let alone any Bond film.
Tanker chase finale of License to Kill. Sanchez is all Bond cares about now. He's got to get rid of him. He's come this far, and now he's in this. Again, it's one of the greatest sequences, isn't it, in action cinema? This tanker chase, and we've had all the explosions. We've had the crashes and everything, and the two of the tankers have already blown up. We're left with just the one tanker now. I think is left, is it? And the driver, of course, has gone. So we've got Bond and Sanchez on the back of a tanker going at speed and eventually coming off the cliff. In that moment, that's when we have a mini, but it's real.
Sanchez thought this guy was a friend until about half an hour before this in movie time. I don't know how long neither of them are going to stop until one of them's dead, basically, or both of them, which there was a very good chance that both of them could die. And it's just, we don't get loads of stuff. We get Timothy doing some incredible kicks. One in particular, swing and kick, is absolutely gorgeous. But Sanchez with the machete that feels so real and so so dangerous. It's just brilliant.
I love what you said. The idea that they've been, well, in Sanchez's eyes, becoming buddies up until recently, and yet there's no time for Sanchez with any lines like, "I thought you were my man," or there's nothing like, "You were supposed to be the chosen one."
I thought that creep loved me.
Yeah. There's nothing. There's just rage and anger. There's nothing that says rage and anger better than a machete. Like, what a weapon to have, and so practical as well, because obviously he's chopping the brake fluid with it, and I think it works so well in terms of a weapon that's gonna Sanchez is using to tear this whole thing down. There's not much dialogue. There's just anger and rage, and the only dialogue you do get at the end is so powerful when it comes to it, which is just brilliant. Bond does eventually defeat Sanchez.
There are external circumstances happening at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a real, at the same time, open fight, but really enclosed fight, because they're on the back of the thing. Even though they're out in the open air, there's only so many places you can go here.
Yeah.
And also their safety is like completely, the risk here is just absolutely massive, and it feels so real, right? This is so deadly real. And the stakes are absolutely massive. And this really is Bond as we've never ever seen him before.
Yeah.
We've never seen him like this. And when he's crawling away from the wreckage after this, like, this is, all bets are off. Anything could happen from this point. And it's so desperately exciting. The choreography again.
And his hair's dishevelled, the blood from his nose. Like,
dried
just
blood.
trying to crawl to safety.
It's
That's
so
all he's
hot.
trying to do.
Yeah.
Can you do the noise, Tom, when he's...
when he's getting up?
It's quite vomitous, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, you haven't heard these noises before, but it's definitely done.
Oh, never.
It's just
his hair and eyebrows. He's got new hair and eyebrows as well.
Yeah. There's a cut from that amazing shot, of the tanker jackknifing and all that down the hill. And then, it just sort of cuts to, like, Sanchez looks like he might be dead, doesn't he? I think.
And you see the gasoline pouring on him,
and you hear it.
Yeah.
At the moment, there's no score. Silence for this. You see him lying down. Sanchez looks like he might be dead, and then you see Bond, and you think, brilliant, Bond survived. This doesn't seem triumphant. There's something, and then ta-da.
Yeah, wow.
That
machete to the face.
Machete on. It's the greatest. It's the greatest final showdown in any film for me, and it always will be. And I know we're meant to be talking about the fight element of it, but it is the conclusion of a fight and so much more, isn't it?
They have a bit of a struggle at the back. Like I say, it's not a huge fight, but again, it's that's not the point. They're already absolutely desperate because they're on the back of a massive tanker that's about to crash. So it's not really a case of having a fist fight on top of the tanker. It's just trying to kick each other off, aren't they? And I think that when it does collapse, when it does come off the road, it is it's quite an interesting way, because it feels slightly anticlimactic. That it is like, it doesn't end. You're almost expecting that's when the explosion will happen. Is that when the tanker rolls down and Bond and that's when you're going to get the big explosion, but it doesn't. Because they're waiting, and they know that actually that you will get. You're just going to have to wait for it. That delayed gratification of like, no, you will get to see the explosion, but we've got to finish this off. We've got to finish the story here, and this is what it. And like I say, that scene where Bond is just crawling, and when I first watched it, you've never seen Bond even half as bad as that. Never seen the physical struggle that he again, the acting is just like brilliant. And then that shot where Sanchez uses the machete across his face to sort of bring him up to his level.
Yeah.
Just the way that is framed, and the way that, whether that was, Robert Davi who said, or if he walks, that kind of staging is absolutely top class. This is brilliant filmmaking. And then you do get the payoff, and what a payoff that is. It is one of the greatest stunts. Can't think of anything else that comes close. Just because the sheer amount of intensity and the fact that someone did it, someone got in there and they set them on fire, and then it's absolutely amazing. I think that to end on that massive scale explosion is incredibly Bond.
Here, it's all to do with the emotional stakes. It takes a lot out of you. It's quite emotionally draining in a lot of ways.
You could have had everything. Don't you want to know why?
And the lighter, Rob.
The bravery as well of, in that moment, cutting away to a small insert shot. If the fight scene is going to work, you have to have it choreographed to perfection, using what is around you. And they do it again here so well. This is movie magic of the absolute highest order, and it's so thrilling. As a fight, I think it's extremely effective. As part of the finale of this amazing movie, it's just perfection.
Dine of the Day might not be every Bond fan's cup of tea, but my word, it has one awesome fight in it, with swords.
Gustav?
Verity. And Mr. Bond. James Bond.
Have we met before?
Oh, I think I'd remember.
When I first watched it, I loved it. When I watch it now, I love it even more. I'm a sucker for sword fights. Bond is to quote some people, being a bit of a shithouse at first, isn't it? You know,
yeah.
It works perfectly for that. I mean, Brosnan's face here, the sheer anger towards Gustav.
He's fuming, isn't he?
I love that.
I don't like the line about what kind of fight it is as well.
I don't like cockfights.
Rudy doody stuff.
Oh, right.
Not a big fan. This is so Bond.
He shows something that kind of belongs to the villain, which basically is like, I'm onto you.
You want to up the wager?
How much can you afford?
Let's play for this. I picked it up in Cuba. I believe it's one of yours.
My. They do get around. But then diamonds are for everyone. Brilliant specimen. Completely flawless.
And chemically identical to African conflict diamonds.
Then you're about to lose something very precious.
Initially, Graves gets the upper hand on. He goes 2-0 up. But
very quickly.
Yeah, he does. And then, do you want to continue?
2-0. Do you want to continue?
You know, Graves says, do you want to continue? And then Bond does that and catches his hand. That's when Bond says, do you want to continue? Again, more shit out of it.
Oh, dear. You want to continue?
Of course I want to bloody continue!
That's when, you know, upping the wager, and then, since we're upping the wager, let's up the weapons. And that's when...
Shall we? Oof.
And
you know,
let's
just go for massive swords. Yeah. Because that's not dangerous in any way.
Let's do this the old-fashioned way. First blood drawn from the torso.
It fits in the Bond canon extremely well, this. Bond cheats. You know, like, let's not get that wrong. You know, with punching and all.
Yeah. There are punches and...
There's only one bit I don't like. Just one small bit, and it's when Bond is running towards Graves, and he does like spins it back to come back round the sword. But because it's a massive broadsword, it comes across quite clumsily as he's running towards Graves.
The sound editing. There are such OTT noises with like the swords clashing, pulling the swords out of the shield. Very full on overemphasized sound. The score is very cranked up with it. I mean, it's all highly produced into it, but the action holds up. It's one of the very few Bond fights we'll be talking about that doesn't have a winner.
They were about to carry on until, you know, Rosamund Pike, I've forgotten, Miranda Foster intervenes.
That is enough.
For me, personally, I think it's the best fight in the film. I think it works brilliantly. It's probably in the top 5 fights of this millennium, isn't it? You know? Yeah.
You can see what's going on, like you can in this scene. It's desperately important to your enjoyment of it, and it's also desperately important to the delivery of the story and the continued delivery of the story. We know where everyone is. We get the layout of blades. It's great.
Yeah. So some credit has to go to Lee Tamahori then.
Of course.
I would say. It's really unique, yet really Bond at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a great first meeting between the two. I know it's not actually the first meeting between the two characters, but, you know, ostensibly anyway. So I think it works really well, and I think...
He's an angry fella during this, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is.
He really is.
He really doesn't like Graves. He just doesn't like him.
No.
He does not like the cut of his jib one bit.
No.
I do love like how there's a continued upgrade in sword. So like you've got the fencing bit, and then they get the swords. But I do love that when Graves loses his sword, he picks that samurai sword and it just slices Brosnan's straight away. It's excellent that.
Yeah.
I love it how they go from them fencing twangers to William Wallace, like monster broadsword, so great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm sure them fancy twangers. Yeah.
It's just a little sport, Miranda.
Just missing out on the top 10 is a brilliant Daniel Craig fight, which has everything and is extremely brutal.
So another brutal fight in Casino Royale, again following the kind of the idea of Bond, showing Bond, bleed, and this feeling more threatening, more dangerous. So we start with Le Chiffre being kind of held, and Stephen O'Bannon having Le Chiffre's girlfriend,
Valenka. That's what
Valenka, right? Yeah. Quite brutal in that he stops short of chopping a hand off, and Le Chiffre doesn't say anything. Then Bond and Vesper are in the corridor. She can't get out via the lift, and then she goes to the stairs, and then O'Bannon and his bodyguard come out, and then the bodyguard spots Bond's earpiece, and then that's when we're straight into it. The guy tries to come and shoot Bond, and Bond sort of grabs his arm and flips him over the stairwell, and he falls to the bottom. O'Bannon, who we've just seen with a huge scary machete, comes swinging for Bond with it.
Totally love it. I think it's brilliant, brilliantly choreographed. Stairwell fights are ace, aren't they? Because you have a whole new set of problems to address, like the up-down geography of it. Like where do you photograph it from? Where does it go from there? Sometimes you're above it, sometimes you're below it. You're never straight on, it seems, to it. I think it's a really, really good fight. And again, like really good choreography.
I think it's pretty unique in terms of to have this in this fight. I think makes it a little bit unique. Yeah, we've had stairway fights again, but this is a bit different. The way they sort of keep leaping from one place to another, smashing into windows, and
the best fight of the Daniel Craig era.
Yeah,
I love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think you've got to look in the context of where the film's at as well. So you've just come off the back of a poker game, which I adore, but it's quite slow burning, and it's like, so you need a frenetic fight to quote John Glenn, where are the bumps? So the rhythm of it is spot on. It has to be frenetic. If it's a slow-paced fight on the back of a slow-paced game, going back into a slow-paced game, the tone's not right. It's such a random thing, but I've got to say it. I love Abano's orange shirt. And because I do think that gives his character just something,
Yeah.
Like you can tell that this guy is not just some random body. He's important because of his shirt, because of his machete. No doubt inspired by the kind of Bourne fights. There's no doubt about that. But it works in the context. Maybe it's just because Bond's wearing a tuxedo, but it works because of that. The shattered glass. Here, the score works. The score works in what it's doing here. The idea of the fight going down the stairs, brilliant, really great way. Whilst I know that for some people, strangulation isn't their favourite way of dying, I actually think that the tension of this is the right way to do it. Because if you had a frenetic fight all the way down the stairs, it could be just too abrupt if you threw down the stairs and died. So to build the tension, you do the strangulation, but it's not just a strangulation. You've got Vesper bashing his hand to get a gun out of his hand as well. There is stuff going on. And because Campbell changes the shots between Abana's head and his feet as well, I do think there's tension building up to the climax of it. I love this fight. I think it's brilliant.
It needs to be mentioned possibly that this was before hand-to-hand fights in Bond were green grass. Like as in you can see everything. It's filmed brilliantly. They're giving it time to breathe. You can follow the action, and I think it's its own thing. This is a really unique looking and feeling fight, going down a stairwell. Usually stairwell fights go upwards. Like this is going downwards. This is great, and it's really different, and you can follow all the action. And I love that there's a moment where they sort of jump across the divide between steps up and down, that kind of thing, and they knock over one of the banisters and stuff, and it's really cool. It's just really cool. I really like it.
And of course, it sort of develops the Bond and Vesper relationship, and her having to get involved and having to get her hands dirty, which she never probably thought that she would. Yeah, I think it's really effective, brilliantly directed, brilliantly choreographed. Bond looks in danger at times, in real danger. A brilliant secondary villain, somebody who we feel inhabits this real dangerous world in a whole different area of the world and part of the world that this film doesn't really focus on. I know we're there at the start in Uganda, but the organisation, Quantum, as it's revealed in the next film, are all over the world and involved with these pretty nasty people.
Breaking into the top 10 now, Bond must come face to face with possibly the very best henchman, Oddjob.
With Jaws, the most famous henchman in the Bond series, Oddjob. A bit like Grant had his strangulation. This is a even more sort of enigmatic way of killing with this bowler hat. But there's more to him than that. He's a real physical threat. So at this stage in the film, there is in the background the sort of battle, isn't there, going on to protect Fort Knox and Goldfinger's goons and all that. This is where these guys, though, Bond and Oddjob, are the only two left, aren't they? Locked into the vault. So they're going to be blown up. Never mind this fight. I mean, so they don't actually have to fight, do they? Really, if you think about it.
Yeah, well,
Goldfinger's gone, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's the ticking bomb. So Oddjob has accepted his fate. The set is just absolutely unlike anything else. Looks so good. As we've said, that sort of constant noise of the ticking of the bomb is quite that's such clever sound design, because it sort of gives a bit of rhythm, gives a bit of peril almost. You can hear it. What's interesting as well, seen it in other fights, is that sort of Oddjob kind of lets Bond hit him quite a lot because he knows that he can take it. Lets him have a couple of jabs or strikes with certain things. Oddjob's been throughout the film. Obviously, doesn't have any real lines, but I think again, when you're watching it as an audience member, you're like, at some point, Bond is going to have to do something about him. Like, he's going to be a huge obstacle in terms of foiling Goldfinger's plans. How's he going to get past him? And then, when it comes to this fight, it's so different to the Red Grant fight, which is claustrophobic, which is dark. This has pauses, it has space, it has time. So it's so clever, that distinction that they've done for a start. Yeah.
Oddjob tormenting Bond.
Yeah.
I mean, be under no illusion, Oddjob is on top throughout this. He is battered. But there's a bit where Bond goes for a tornado DDT and he jumps on him and he grabs him in the head, throws him off. And then Bond's like, I'm gonna get some gold bars. I'm gonna get a big ore, and the Oddjob just smashes it through. Everything, every single opportunity, Oddjob destroys this man. This guy is a formidable force. And then he throws Bond to the other side of the room. And then just the idea, the little music comes in, and then the cocky get up, little bite, and then Bond picks up the hat, and at that minute you get the Oddjob cue. Ding.
Yeah. And his face, having been smiling, and it changes, to a bit of panic at that point.
Yeah. The shuffle.
You think that Oddjob's going to be hoisted by a card, he's going to be killed by his hat, and actually the shot from Connery is rubbish.
Well, yeah.
Absolute rubbish. I mean, he just goes, see you later.
Yeah.
But that quick thinking to then go, I'm just going to get that is incredible. And it's such a curveball because it's not what we're expecting. We're all expecting Oddjob neck to be broken by his metal-plated hat. It's an incredible scene. It's an incredible fight for a different reason to any of the other fights that we will talk about in the top tiers of these fights. Because this isn't technically amazing choreography. This isn't technical brutality. This is slow. This is torture, really. That's what it is. It's mental torture for Bond. There is no way on any level that Bond physically beats Oddjob. It doesn't happen, full stop. And that's why it's brilliant, because Bond has to use his wit. It's unbelievable.
I don't think Bond thought, right, I'll put that in there so that I can electrocute him. Obviously, he didn't think that. But also, as soon as he realises he can't make it that obvious and run to it, he has to do it at the exact time so that his hand is going to be on there. So if he did it too quickly, Oddjob might suspect something.
Yeah.
And then that's it. He's Bond's dead then.
Perfect about who Bond is, and why he's such a hero. Again, getting battered, but it's his, as we say, it's his wits. It's him being able to think quickly. Yeah, and you're so right. People watching this for the first time, I know we're talking about a film that's 60 years old, but you would all think, oh, he's got the hat. Of course, that's how he's going to kill him.
Of course.
And the music tells you this is going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, it's genius. And then he misses. And an audience was like, oh no! Oh.
And he's going to get the hat back.
Yeah. And that's it. Bond's dead, but it's just it's so good.
This could be hyperbole from me, but I'm going to say it anyway. Star protagonist.
Yeah.
Villain. Set. Sound design. Fight. All in one. The only fight that has all those things like that in the whole of cinema that I can think of is Skywalker versus Darth Vader in The Empire Strikes Back.
Wow.
I cannot think of any other thing where you would say, wow, what an amazing protagonist. Wow, what an amazing villain. Wow, what a set. Whoa, have you heard this sound design that's going on as well?
Yeah.
Like the culmination of everything together. And the only one I can think of is Empire Strikes Back in my mind as well.
My word.
I mean, it's that level.
Yeah.
But the one thing it doesn't have is a quip at the end. And I don't think it needs one. I think that's genius there. The flat fall as well. He falls flat on his face, doesn't he? Oddjob, you see if this is as good as it gets. I do think it is.
Yeah.
At number 9, it's surely the best fight in the whole Craig era, when Dave Bautista comes up against Daniel Craig in a train. My word. A bit like Necros, Hinks has been built up. We've seen him do nasty things. We've not seen him do an amazing fight like the kitchen fight or anything like that before, but we know that this is a guy not to be messed with. He's had a few failed attempts, a bit like Jaws has in Spy Love Me, at trying to kill Bond and other people. But now is the time for him to shine. We're on the train. We don't know that he's there. So that's the first thing. This starts when you're having a nice romantic meal, Bond and Madeline getting to know each other, all dressed up. We're straight into it. And this is a pretty long fight. It's nearly 3 minutes long. It is a bit of the greatest hits of Bond.
Yeah.
Stuff I hadn't noticed before, like the smashing the mirror in the toilet, which is very much like the Man with the Golden Gun, the changing room fight with smashing the mirror. Obviously echoes of Jaws and stuff breaking through the walls and stuff. When he sets on fire, you could say it's like Mr. Kidd, from Diamonds Are Forever. Sanchez,
Very good.
More famous one. And there's also, of course, Madeline is kind of crucial to it because it's not looking good for Bond until she shoots him, which gives Bond the chance to start wrapping that thing around him. It's quite bold to be hitting a woman nowadays, the henchman to be hitting a woman. They worked around it a bit at the end where you can't have him knock her out twice, can you? That's really awful.
There's common tropes in a Bond train fight, and one of them is that there is always a woman involved who gets interrupted. They get interrupted by the villain on each one of them. Madeline Swan plays a similar role to Anya Amasova does on the Spy Who Loved Me one, is that she's actually trying to get involved. She's more effective than Anya Amasova, definitely.
Yeah. You want to see a Bond girl do, which is be part of the plot and actually help out and not just stand around kind of screaming.
I think Sam Mendes is not bad. He's not bad at fights. That's something I didn't think I'd be saying. When he's got a fist fight, I think he does a good job in this film.
Dave Bautista is my favorite thing about Spectre.
Yeah, yeah.
I big
Wrestling again.
Big wrestling fan. Loved Dave Bautista for years, and I think he's probably the most talented wrestler turned actor. He's obviously highest grossing, but I think he has got real acting chops on him. Mr. Hinks for me is the best henchman in the Craig era by some distance, and yeah, it does hark back to those classic Bond villains. The fight itself moves through the train, which is a different take on it. Really, that's not something that we've really done before, and it moves through it well. I think the fight itself is brilliant. Going back and forth with each other is fantastic. You're right. Bond is getting bashed here, and he has to resort to getting corkscrew openers and stuff and using them.
Yeah.
He is really in a bad way. I suppose in the kitchen when Bond's throwing the pan, he's bashing it. I was like, it's absolutely, you're not laying a glove on him here, and that's why you need Madeline Swan, because Bond he's no match, if I'm being honest, really.
He does have that energy. Suddenly is a literal, a kick up the arse, because as soon as he comes in, Hinks comes in, it's like it just turns into a different film for me.
Yeah.
It has energy. It feels brutal. It feels like he is unrelenting in the way that he goes through and just absolutely steamrolls over anything that Bond can do. Bond is fairly desperate. Has that kind of Jaws-like figure where he can just plow through wooden walls and stuff and just throw Bond around like he's nothing. And I think that was, I do feel that this is really different. It definitely is a standout scene because it just has so much energy to it, and it's so brutal.
The ending disappoints me so much because I think you've got such an asset to this film, and it's so brutal, the fight that's come before. And whilst what I will say is, for Bond to hook him onto these barrels that are moving is very Bond, is very genius, is very quick thinking and moving with it. It's not enough to kill him. When you've got like Jaws being thrown out of windows on trains, and Hinks is continually coming back, for him to just say shit and fall off a plane, train is such a disappointment, because what this film needs is Hinks to the end.
I agree with you. I do think that his demise, it doesn't feel like a demise. It feels like actually we're going to see him again later.
It does.
Kudos to Thomas Newman as well, I have to say. When it comes in, I know it's a bit more modern-y, Dark Knight-y, but it is still appropriate, I think, for this fight.
It's a great train fight.
It is.
I just wish we had more of Dave Bautista, because this fight, the Spectre boardroom scene highlights what a great asset he is to this film.
Yeah.
Shoot.
The brutality of what's happening, the sounds that go with it, the use of anything around, all your surroundings, from chairs to lampshades to throwing you through, I don't know what they are, banisters like in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
This is visceral. That's the only word I can describe it. It is visceral. You feel everything that's happening here.
From the moment he walks in, says a name, and he hits it, like elbows him in the back of the head, and Bond goes down, and without a second, he grabs that chair, smashes it. Like his reaction to it is just. This feels like the prototype to obviously the fighting, the end fight in GoldenEye. That kind of small space where there's the grunting. Like I say, when the punches hit, you have that sort of slightly sickening, kind of fleshy pound to it. That you are grabbing anything and everything, that you're being thrown around. Also, it shows that it's like Bond has met a physical match in, or actually someone who's even stronger than he is. He has that sheer sort of strength and build that he really does sort of struggle with that, and has to sort of, has to have a real kind of, he's really tested in this fight. And I just think it is brilliant, down to, let's say, and the fact that even Bond pulls his gun out, because it's like even he's sort of struggling. There's a bit of like, oh, I can't quite deal with this guy, I'm gonna have to pull my gun on it. It feels, every time I watch it, feels hugely influential when you look at anything else, any other action film, the Bourne series, anything like that. It feels like everyone is sort of, there's these sort of touch mark points, and you've got, the Red Grant fight, and I feel like this is definitely one of them in the series.
Bond with ruffles.
Yeah.
Very good, very, very good. So I love the set. I love the usage of the set as well. Another small thing that I think drags us in even more is the fact that certain moments in the fight, the camera is higher than the protagonists, than the fighters, and looking down on the action, which makes you feel like this is in a room, like, because it's the only place you could go to get that view. It feels like, because they chose to shoot it that way, with that intimacy, you are so sucked into the confinement of the fight. It's superb. The choreography of the fight, again, is absolutely brilliant. But it's that thing again, isn't it? Like using all your surroundings to your advantage and adapting and improvising constantly. And it's really jolly dangerous again, which is what, and you get that feeling that, this guy is unbelievably tough, Chi-Chi. He takes 5 hooks to the face before he even replies. It's absolutely incredible. And then he's not bothered, and then he cracks on. It's superb. And Bond meeting a match and having to get out of it and still retaining that level of cool and class. And, as you say, unruffledness. Well, no, despite wearing ruffles. It's so electric, this. And again, it's that thing where, I don't buy for a second that he's not James Bond.
No.
I don't question myself at any point. And also, he's flipping hard. He plays me as a hard man. So I just really, really enjoy it. But again, this shows why Her Majesty is a unique film in its own way, not just because of what happens at the end, not just because of so many other aspects to it, but these small things all the way through. And also, this is a unique James Bond as well. This is a different James Bond to the one we've, at the time, to the one we've been watching 5 films prior. Not just enjoyable, but it's fascinating.
There's something about Her Majesty's Secret Service that makes me feel something different than any of the other films in it. And it's like this eeriness about it. The kind of, I don't know what it is, that it's the camera angles, it's the shots, it is the sets. Even the colouring of this with the red lighting when I come in. There is something about this film that puts me on edge from the minute I watch it. I can't sit and relax with this film. And that's what sets it apart. It's every single camera shot, every single sound effect, every single detail in this film is deliberate. It's deliberate. And it's special. These days, you don't get that. You're picking holes about people's laziness and here and there. Every single bit is deliberate.
No score here. No score. No, but because of that, you feel bruised afterwards because you've heard every single strike. You felt it. Oh, you've been beaten up. Essentially.
And it obviously sort of, it doesn't end comically, but there is a slight sort of comic thing where he sort of sits up and drops down. But it is brutal. From beginning to end, it is a brutal fight. And you just don't see Bond being kind of pushed to those physical limits that often. But then he sort of, puts his gun away and then walks out, has a bit of caviar, and that's it. That's James Bond, isn't it? Doesn't look like he's broke into a sweat. Brilliant.
Gate crusher. I'll leave you to tidy up. Royal Beluga, north of the Caspian.
At number 7, in Tomorrow Never Dies, Bond must face off against 3 burly, elderly thugs in a recording studio. But if you can get out, you can also really annoy Elliot Carver.
Because Tomorrow Never Dies is a by-the-numbers James Bond film, of course, that means you have absolutely everything in it that you want. Very Bond, Matt will say, having this going on whilst there's another bigger thing going on.
Yeah, the villain being on show and us learning more about him, but whilst you have this situation with Bond going on, which again gives it just a different kind of vibe, different, not as obvious as this scene is just solely Bond and another person having a fight. It's different.
It's a soundproof room, Mr. Bond. Nobody hears you scream.
Yeah, Bond and a group of guys as well having a scrap. It's brilliant. People in smart blazered uniforms, so
make him uncomfortable. I'll be there in a few moments.
But what they look like, they're pretty formidable, I think. There's no way these aren't going to be the people that kill James Bond, as in, that he will overcome them. That's never in doubt. But at the same time, there's something a bit difficult about their size. And also, they are older than him. Yeah. They seem older than him. And it's quite unusual to see Bond take on loads of older big men, isn't it?
No way it would be done now.
I'm loving Brosnan's hair.
You just did it, Matt. The hair was perfect.
He looks so good, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's loving not just the punches, but every follow through, every position he's aware of.
He's just so into it. And at the end of the day, he's basically fighting against 3 EastEnders yob bosses here.
Yeah. The location being in a sound booth that's silent, and then the instruments, that adds something to it.
There's another guy having a cuppa just watching the telly.
You get some humour amongst them.
But Frank Warren just sat on his own. But he needs that so that that's the elements of comedy. So there's actually 3 things going on at once.
Yeah.
And it's intertwined with the speech, of course, from Jonathan Pryce and all that.
The lighting in the cinematography is gorgeous, isn't it? It's like the spotlights, the dust, in the air, and
it's what would be happening though, because it's done in a studio sort of area, so there would be these kind of recording studios and rooms nearby, and it's where can I dispose of Mr. Bond quietly whilst I've got this going on? In there and duff him up, kind of thing.
Yeah,
both of them left-footed when they're kicking him at the start. Probably
hammer.
Yeah.
I really like that it shows Bond getting battered a bit at first.
Yeah, he does.
Yes. It's not a thing that you see often where Bond does get beaten up for a bit and then he turns it around.
Yeah.
What happened with Roger, that?
No.
It's slightly Indiana Jones vibes, as in Indiana Jones sometimes finds himself in these moments where he's tied up and getting battered, and then a moment of just one moment and he's able to escape or
but I think that is great. I was gonna Bond
shot, isn't it?
And then and, it's so but it's so Pierce Brosnan, but it's very Bond.
Put him in the chair. Maybe we play a little number on his head.
Because he there's 2 moves he does. So first of all, the guy tries to punch and he moves out of the way, and so punches someone else, and then he brings that guy round so that the guy with the baseball bat, I think, hits him.
Like Muppet, when he's sort of dying.
The human shield. But it's brilliant. I really like it, and again, feels unique to this film.
Yeah, using the room.
Using the objects in the room.
Cello.
Lampstand is it, I think.
It's almost a swordfish moment as well. It's like a mixture of Living Daylight's cello and the swordfish from License to Kill, like a big prop that you're just trying to charge with.
That's meant to be a light-hearted moment. It's not the most serious fight ever. It's just a good fun fight, and Bond's in a dinner jacket.
Yeah,
I mean, this is Tomorrow Never Dies. It gives you everything you want in a Bond.
Yeah, it does.
You do see him sweating a bit, Bond.
Oh yeah, definitely. He is ruffled.
Yeah.
A lot of these fights are around the 2-minute mark at most.
Yeah.
When you think about fights in films, maybe now, or they do extend maybe. I don't know if it's just in your thinking. You might think some fights are quite longer than this, but a lot of the fights we're looking at in this series are wrapped up fairly quicker than you think. And in the time, they don't feel necessarily like they've ended too soon or anything like that. But it's just amazing what you can achieve in around 2 minutes, like with pace and like when it's choreographed and well edited. This hasn't taken up an enormous amount of story time and screen time. In 2 minutes, you've had just been given a great moment in the film.
And you've got the way that illusion of the sound booth, the way that the guys sort of sat down and then the smashing
through.
But of course, Carver can't hear any of this. So
no,
it's an action film, isn't it?
It
is.
It's a 90s action film.
Yeah. And those are the ones you want to go back to again and again.
A lot of these punch-ups and these fights are satisfying and serious, but they're never ugly. They're really good to watch. They walk that line, though, where they're good to watch, but they do feel real and serious, if you know what I mean.
Bond's got to be in some kind of peril, but
you
know that he's going to get out of it. How is he going to get out of it? Because this is quite a funny situation that he's in. Math, can you do some Rocky Taylor lines, please? Or
he wants to know why.
Yeah.
Why? You know.
Yeah, it goes. Why you might ask?
He wants to know why.
Why did I do it, you ask? The answer is simple.
Power, and then the power to illuminate the darkest corner. So that's
Power. The power to illuminate the far corners of the globe.
And then obviously, Stamper.
Yeah.
Stamper. Stamper. Yeah.
In every village, in every nation. But do not fear me. But tonight I offer you my declaration of principles.
It's so memorable, though, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Crisp German baddie, German. I don't know. It's just crisp to hear that.
The way Pierce Brosnan arms himself with the ashtray. I mean, it's so Brosnan.
Yeah. It ends, of course, is incredibly Brosnan, fairly more. It's time for a station break, all that. You obviously tried to get rid of me. You assume that I've been killed, or only I can be ruining this for you. And he knows that Carver's going to be after him.
Fighting injustice, crushing intolerance, battling inhumanity, striking a blow for freedom at every turn.
Station break.
That is the goal of the Carver Media Group Network.
At number 6, it is an incredible fight in a lift from Diamonds Are Forever. Who is your floor?
I hold my hands up that I can sometimes be a little bit, not sniffy about Guy Hamilton's films, but I do often make comments that there isn't loads of action in them. Where his films excel is more in kind of characters and dialogue. But the fight with Peter Franks in Diamonds Are Forever, lads.
Pound for pound, it's one of the best fist fights in cinema history. I think it's in the no, seriously, I really do.
I think you might be right.
Yeah. I think it's definitely either top 20, possibly top 10. It's long for a fist fight, but you are never bored, are you? You are following everything. You can see the effort that has gone into this. I know I go on about choreography all the time, but it's choreographed perfectly. It really, really is. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is left behind. These two guys absolutely go at it. And it's just superb. It really, really is. And I think it's crucial in a storytelling sense to show that by this point, people are like, oh, does Sean still have it? Yeah, he's still got it. Yeah, he's still got it. You are totally bought into it. There are humorous moments as well. It's got just the right amount of, I don't even know whether I like the word grittiness, but it's got just the right amount of realism and humour to make it fit within the Bond world. The fact that it's in this 4 foot by 4 foot box for the great part of it is superb. It's really superb. So yeah, love it. Love it.
Every bit is so claustrophobic. I love these old fights because, yes, they are choreographed. Of course, they're choreographed, but they feel natural. They feel like a brawl. This is raw. It's nasty. it's what a fight would actually be like.
You're trying not to die.
Yeah, exactly that. This scene starts with Connery snogging himself. No, but, you know, like this is and pretending to be I speak. Who is your floor? You know.
Guten Abend. Good evening. Vita? You are English? Yes, I'm English. I speak English. Who is your floor? 3, please.
It's all comedy beats, and then you get this.
The sort of setting of it is Bond tailing Peter Franks, who is to meet Tiffany Case. So in order to get to Tiffany Case, he has to pretend to be Peter Franks, pretending to be Dutch, I assume. Yeah. So they're in the lift together. Bond checks his watch, and then just as he pulls his arm back in order to land the first blow, he accidentally smashes. Yeah. So we get this setting that it's so close, it's so claustrophobic. You know, you think, well, that's so restrictive. But no, in some ways it's liberating, because it's like, because there are parameters, you can just, you know, it just enables you to do things and see things that you wouldn't have otherwise done. It's unscored to begin with, isn't it? And then when it gets to the bit where Bond's head is poking out, you know, that tension, that's when the music comes in, and this da, 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 da. So
it's ace, isn't it? Yeah, it's ace.
How Peter Franks gets the shard of glass and wants to use it. And then how Bond uses the lift door to smash his arm, and it's like that. It's natural response of using your surroundings, isn't it? It is ingenuity, but it's reaction to just what's around you. You know, the idea of that your head's going to be crushed, so I've just got to kick that stop button as hard as I can. Yeah. But it's all like instinct. It's all action, isn't it? Because I've got to do something, because I'll die otherwise straight away. You know what I mean?
But then there's the thing that the crowbar or whatever from the fire hazard type thing that Peter Franks gets, tries to hit him over the head quite high, and then Bond uses the fire extinguisher firstly to incapacitate him with the spray in the face, and then knocking him over the side of the stairwell.
Yeah, it's so good. I love it. You know, all the way through this fight, I'm thinking, you know, like, because there's gunshots going off and all sorts. So I'm thinking, like, what are the people in the apartments doing? It's so funny throwing him over the side.
Yeah. No, do you think it's a silly end, or?
Yes, to an extent. I think it's in keeping with the film, because the film does have this feel. And I just wish I think Chris described it when the fight's English in the review as a custard pie to the face, and I think it does feel like a custard pie to the face. I wish it didn't do that bit. I'm all right with him bashing him over the edge. I think that's the right and falling over.
Yeah.
Just the spray. It's just that little bit there. I wish he didn't do that bit, because I don't think that's in keeping with the rest of the fight.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
It's the bit that the kids enjoyed the most.
Yeah.
If the whole of the fight was like that, I'd be like, yeah, more custard pies in the face. But it's just what you've got is you've got something very visceral, very claustrophobic, and brutal.
And then, of course, we get the lovely, you know, Tiffany Case coming.
Yeah.
You've just killed James Bond.
Yeah. Is that who it was? Yeah.
Is that who it was?
Yeah.
Is he dead?
I sincerely hope so.
Who is he?
No idea. This chap's been following me all day today.
My God. You just killed James Bond.
Is that who it was? Well, it just proves no one's indestructible.
Breaking into the top 5, we have one of the best epic finales to any James Bond film. It's on top of the Golden Gate Bridge, my word.
Bond versus Max Zorin on the Golden Gate Bridge with one of the greatest scores of all time, with a blimp on top of it, with an axe, with Stacy, a doctor with a monocle and a TNT explosive. I mean, what is going on?
Incredibly grounded, as in it's realistic. There's nothing fancy about it because John Glenn understands the peril in that scene. You don't need fancy editing. You don't need, obviously the music is enhancing everything brilliantly, and it's the score here is just out of this world. But having that, again, that real world shooting, that shot when Bond and Zorin are fighting, and there's like that massive tanker that's just going past underneath, about to cross underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's clear that these are stuntmen, real humans, fighting on the top of this bridge. Is just like, it's breathtaking. It's such a brilliant set piece that doesn't need to be flashy because it's like it's just there. Just watch this. And it's a realistic struggle. There's no kind of, karate or any kind of, Krav Maga and all of that. It's like a punch here, a kick here, someone's slipping, someone's throwing an axe, making it even more dangerous. Always the danger of falling. That danger is always there. And I just think it's one of the, I know we say this a lot, but it is an incredibly underrated set piece from the series because it isn't like really flashily edited and really fast and explosions. It's just really a couple of people grappling, but it's where it is and everything that comes with it. I just think every time I watch it, I'm like, wow, what an ending. What a set piece to end this film on. I think it's brilliant.
I almost feel like Paulie watching it. It's that good, and that enjoyable. Like my eyes were prickling, with the enjoyment and how I felt when I watched it those first few times. That just because it is desperately exciting and it's so flipping dangerous as well. What you're seeing. I mean, obviously, I know it's all controlled circumstances, but there are stuntmen up there doing this. This is just absolutely out of this world, brilliant. And I've always found it really seamless. All the different, like the sets, the location stuff, everything, the back project. I've always found it really seamless. And I am sucked into this brilliant story. I think all the performances are brilliant. And it's like a really, unique, grubby fight, hand to hand, in really unique circumstances. Like the platform that you're stood on is curved, so you're going to keep losing your footing and stuff. And the axe adding another flavour, but like these ropes that you can grab onto. And of course, you've just got, like, any time that I hear Roger saying something like, get down, I'm doing it. There's so much authority.
Stacey, jump! Get a foothold!
Zorin, I think, is one of my favourite villains. I just love him. There's nothing about him that I don't find interesting. Stacey here is also great because she adds such another layer of drama to this because she's getting involved as well. She helps with the fight. She does earn herself a boot in the face for it, I think, or something like that. But she does, she is involved. The score, I mean, again, like, I think you could put these visuals against a lot of things and it would be great. When you put it next to this score, it elevates it to just, it's so perfect for me. I just adore it.
It's perfect. I'm with you on this one. This is absolutely perfect. The fact that you got pictures of John Glenn going up the Golden Gate Bridge. You're like, what? I mean, obviously, yeah, we recognise that I think John Richardson said, was it 3 separate models they made? But they went up there to scope it. It's outrageous. The fight that's going on is incredible. I have to talk about Zorin. I have to talk about Zorin with this. After Sanchez, this is the best villain death in the series for me.
You might be right.
The laughter he gives just before he dies is the most perfect bit of characterization.
He's such a great characterization because he fits the character so perfectly that you totally believe he would have that, like, that realization that this is so ridiculous, and a laugh, and it's like, well, this is it, kind of. Yeah. And I think Christopher Walken is brilliant in the role, and like I say, his death, the scene is a real highlight, not only of just Roger's sort of tenure, but for the series, because it is so spectacular in a realistic way.
This man is a psychopath. He gets an enjoyment out of things he shouldn't do. He finds it funny that he's going to die. And then you contrast that to the face at the beginning that he is furious when he grabs that axe at the beginning. He has got murder on his mind at that moment.
Go get him. Go!
And yet, however enraged he is, and however enraged he is throughout the fight, and he flings that axe at Roger a few times, and but he giggles when he's about to die, and I find that just such a quite a harrowing thing, really. That this we're a full-on psychopath here. Not at one point. It's not right for any kind of quip. This is Roger. This is a very, very serious situation. The only quip you ever get is when everyone's defeated at the end, and he said, "There's never a what did he say? Never a bus or something."
Never a cab when you need one.
There's never a cab when you want one.
And then you've got like these fascinating side characters like Carl Morton, who is so devastated by Zorin's death.
Yeah.
James! James!
We were laughing before about like getting the TNT and all the rest of it, but I wonder if some of that is just that rage that he's lost his mind into any kind of logic. He just wants revenge and he just grabs whatever and he's not thinking clearly because in his mind, Zorin is his creation. It's his child. It's his child, exactly.
Yeah. His grief is really well portrayed as well, I think.
I agree with that completely. This is, to me, one of the best endings of all James Bond films. I absolutely adore this scene so much.
We've gone over this many, many times in our 5+ years of chatting about James Bond on the podcast. We've interviewed, obviously, Andreas, who's told us about it, but John Glenn as well. And I think what they both said is all the footage, of course, from the amazing stunts here. These are some of the best stunts on any film ever, I think. You've got those in the bag, and then John Glenn, of course, has got it all lined up, every single shot for Andreas and Tim to do and put, so it's all edited in his head as usual, and that's why it works so well, because it does feel so constructed. Every shot seems to be the correct one to be using. No one watching this would speak. How can you possibly be talking through this scene? This is some of the most death-defying stunts and incredible location of a fight. So it starts when, at this point, the bomb is still there, but really, we've dealt with most of the mission. And the audience might be thinking, oh, it's a bit disappointing. Koskov isn't dead. Whitaker, what's that? Oh, and Necros, what? Forgotten about him. And then, of course, because he's done that shot, John Glenn, he could have jumped onto the plane, but you wouldn't notice that the first time, no chance. Then, all of a sudden, it's like a jump scare, isn't it? Necros is there. And we're away. And the first part of the fight is Bond really up against it, back to him, thing over his head.
It starts as a traditional fight and very quickly moves into something far, far, far more ambitious. There's certain fights that you will watch because you are obsessed with the movements, you are obsessed with the use of materials, you are obsessed with the actual fight itself, the claustrophobic nature of something. This you don't watch for the fight. In some ways, the fight is the reason for the stunts. In some ways, this is the fact that anyone's even attempting to punch someone while dangling off a rope in midair is outrageous in itself. If you wanted to create a masterpiece, this is how you do it. If you look at every single aspect of this that's going on between the two people fighting, the score, the location, the idea of a ticking time bomb,
Kara struggling to fly the plane.
And pulling a lever down because she thinks that's going to take it down, and that actually opening up the jeopardy. The obvious physics then of this rope and bag swinging in midair as it would, and them climbing round, cutting open the bag, so then you've all got it spraying everywhere. There's certain fights you can't finish this fight with a physical confrontation. This has got to be done within the boundaries of what's going on. So to actually do it by Necros holding on to a shoe and Bond cutting the shoe, there couldn't be a better way ever to do it. I don't think there could. I think it's the perfect way to do it. And the scream that goes with it. It's one of the best stunts in the series. It's one of the best fights in the series. It's one of the best scenes in the series. It's one of the best films in the series. It's one of the best films of all time. Perfection. I mean, we may as well just give up making films now. Never going to reach this standard, is it?
I think it's seamless in between how you've got obviously the literal stunt, of the guys hanging out the plane, how many thousand feet, and then the inserts of the actors fighting, and struggling to hold on to this rope and all the sacks and everything. I say I don't know what else to add really, because it's just a flawless scene for me, and I think you've made a really interesting point about that actually traditionally you probably would have had more of a fist fight. I think nowadays you would have Necros and Bond have a fight on the back of the plane. This is more of a struggle that leads to a set piece. There's more of a kind of just basically trying to stay alive, which is quite different to sort of other traditional kind of fights. It does sort of lean more towards a view to a kill in that kind of sense. That it's still very grounded, but the set piece is just like mind blowing in the sense that there's so much danger, not only in plot wise. You've got a trained killer, you've got hanging out the back of a plane being piloted by someone who doesn't know how to fly, and you've also got a bomb about to go off. It just like the stakes just don't really get any higher than this. And I think that is let's say that's where Glenn and the team that he worked with were just absolutely spot on every time. It's just understanding the essence of what makes a Bond film and placing it at that time. And I think that the fight, it feels genuine. It feels like I say there's high stakes. The fact that you get this highly trained killer basically begging for his life by the end of it is terrifying. He knew it. He went there to kill Bond. He didn't have to get on the plane. He went and chased him. And then suddenly the circumstances are completely different. He didn't think he was going to be hanging out at the back of this plane. For him to be doing that and screaming, is actually, it's fairly dark. But I just think it's perfect. And if anyone hasn't listened to the review, I'd recommend you listen to How Many Hours, because I think that it's so difficult to do justice to this film. It's a perfect film. It is for what it set out to achieve. It did it absolutely perfectly. And I personally cannot think of how you could possibly change it to make it better than it already is. It's a jewel in the crown of the Bond series.
We've heard the theme before, the Necros' theme, based on the melody of "Where's Everybody Gone." Here, though, it's that end of it for me that you've got the synth and it's sort of ticking over, isn't it? Literally, like, but then the da, da. So you're like, oh, this is it now. Bond isn't going to die in the back of your head, but how's this going to end? What on earth is going on? And it's so good, isn't it? No dialogue in any of this. Just unbelievable music, unbelievable sound editing, the sound effects of the wind, the hatch sort of coming down, the things flying in your face. That's another thing I think the score picks up when that starts to happen, because you're like, this can't go on forever now, because they just can't hang on of a net with nothing in it forever. So one of them is going to fall. And that shot, I mean, why is it not spoken of? The shot of behind Necros falling with the boot, looks exactly like Andreas Wisniewski, and then a really long shot of him blood-curdling scream.
The fight that it's all been building up to between Bond and Trevelyan, the hero versus the villain, an incredible setting, and this satellite dish. It ends in a different place to where it starts. It gets one of those fights that goes through a few different places. We talked about fights that go up. Strangely, this fight goes down to a perilous kind of drop at the end. How good is Pierce Brosnan as James Bond and Sean Bean as Alec Trevelyan? And when you hear that Pierce Brosnan and Sean Bean, when they were that age, having a fight, how unbelievably perfect. And it is the promise. You know, he's a 00 agent. There has to be this. There has to be this physical fight. This is the biggest fist fight that Bond ever has with a villain, isn't it? This is the main hero and the main villain having a proper fight. So it's pretty unique in that way.
When you have got 007 versus 006, you have to have a physical fight to end this. That is the only way that this can ever be solved. When it's secret agent versus secret agent and there's so much emotional ties in it, you have to do this. And I think that that's one of the best things about this fight is the emotion plays into how they fight each other as well. Yeah. You can feel the feeling of this.
Yeah.
It's back and forth. They know each other's every move. So one for one, the other one blocks. There's a bit in it where Trevelyan is 3-point, Brosnan 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
They know how each other fight. They know how each other think. And yet there's that real feeling, especially when they go through those metal bars. We don't care who gets hurt. We are just going to throw ourselves at each other. And there's a continued reach for a gun. Like the gun scene that whilst Trevelyan gets the gun, he gets the gun by luck. In terms of that, Bond is on top by that point. Bond is really on top of Trevelyan. But Trevelyan really has this ego thing going, I was always better. Throughout the film, he has to prove himself more than anything that he's better than Bond. I think of the scene like with Natalia and he says, lovely girl tastes like strawberries. I wouldn't know. I would. You know?
Yeah.
In his mind, he has to show that he is better than Bond. And at that very moment, after he had this brutal fight, and he's about to shoot Bond, I'm guessing Bond has no idea where that ladder is going to go.
No.
He's just got to hedge his bet.
Yeah.
I've got to kick this down and see where this goes. And it's going to lead me to more peril, but at least I'm not dead.
You know, James, I was always better.
It does feel one of the most brutal fights in the series. It moves quickly. There's lots of different things to it. Different ways of hurting each other. It's not repetitive. It's claustrophobic, but you can see it. You can see who's who. It's in a quite closed space to begin with, and then, as you say, John, he either gets shot or he does that.
Yeah.
So he might not know where it goes, but at least there's a bit of uncertainty. Whereas there is, otherwise he's dead. And he's killed by Trevelyan. So that gets them onto that lower bit, which gives the whole confrontation a new slant.
As soon as it drops down, suddenly you've gone from being in this mechanical engineering room to suddenly in an absolutely terrifying, wide open space. Yes, we've got music, but as soon as they break outdoors, you hear the whistle of the wind. You hear that they're out. They are very, very elevated here. They are way off the ground. In such limited space on a pole with a little base at the bottom, they're still able to do some really unbelievable fights and hanging on. Where Bond gets knocked down and somehow he's kind of on his back but hanging on. It's unbelievable, this fight.
It's outrageous. I mean, Bond's fallen down. He's at the end. And Trevelyan, he could shoot him but his gun's run out.
Yeah.
I suppose logically speaking, in a lot of ways, you could just leave Bond there. But he's so entangled by rage. He's so entangled by he has to win that he risks his life by sliding down a ladder, but is ultimately his downfall.
Yeah.
But you believe that Trevelyan would do that because he wouldn't want to leave it.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's driven by this. Like, this is it. It's a brilliant move. And yes, then Bond's hanging on for dear life at that moment in time. You can't have much of a fight up there because you are in such a high space and such a small amount of area that, yes, it's basically one or two punches or kicks and it's over, as it would be. And it's like Natalia puts the gun to the helicopter pilot's head. That little distraction, punch, bang, he's gone. And he could die. At that moment, he could die. But Bond has to grab him. You know, that's the thing, is that Bond could just kick him. The grab is a reaction thing, but doesn't have any need to. Kicks him and Trevelyan's gone at that moment in time. But the fact he grabs his boot to hold on just that second, just so he can have his true retribution, that this is for me, for all that you've put me through in this film, for all the years of betrayal, all the goading that you've given me throughout this, and all the havoc you've caused. No, this isn't for England. This is for me. This has been deeply personal. You've seen it in the way we fight, and then let go.
Yeah.
It's outstanding.
First of all, where Bond kicks him off the edge.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes my breath away every time, because you've been getting so used to this small area that you've got to stay on, and then to be like, whoa, kicked off, like that is absolutely terrifying. He's out there, he's kicked. You get that torn nature of Bond between Bond wants to show that, of course, he's the bigger man, he's the one who's going to win. But at the same time, I don't necessarily know that he wants to kill him until the very end. So it has more impact, because throughout the fight, there is a sense of Bond's defending and he's on the offense as well. But when it gets to that final bit where he's holding onto the boot, you don't know what Bond's going to decide. It has impact, that decision. It gives the audience a bit of a shock, really, that he would let him go like that. And that's different to other killings in previous Bonds where Bond's had time to think. Bond actually in this moment has time to decide whether he kills him or he helps him survive. And it's quite, not shocking in a bad way, but always quite a surprising moment that I'm going to let you die. I'm going to let go and you're going to die. That's a pretty big decision from Bond. And then for Bond to grab his boot, and then when Bond lets go, it is breathtaking, like takes your breath away what you are seeing, because you just feel that open expanse.
Moments make movies, as I've said, and you know, I mean, the fight is full of, you know, amazing moments and everything, but this end to the fight, that's something that I'll always, you know, you'll always remember, I think.
For England, James? No. For me.
I do also like the way that it's cut away with other stuff that's going on with the satellite as well. Not constant interruptions, but just one or two, so that you're aware that other situations are coming to a head as well. And it makes for such a brilliant edit. So when Trevelyan hits the ground and then you've got Boris screaming, I think that's so brilliantly done. It's kind of epic, it's all those reactions, but it also somehow just takes the sting off how horrible a landing that is for Trevelyan.
There's criticism that, oh, ridiculous that Trevelyan survived it. I mean, and then he's only killed by the sort of explosion, the crane falling below him. What I would say about that is he hasn't survived it. He will die. He will.
Of course he will.
He is dead. Yeah. But I think it was probably just to take a bit of the brutal sting of Bond's actions out of it, potentially.
100%.
Yeah. For anyone making their Bond debut to be given a fight like this, I mean, it's an absolute gift, and one that cements his place as Bond almost immediately. He's had other fights within the film, but I mean, what a way to end your first Bond film.
This is cinema gold as far as I'm concerned. We started off talking about one of the best fight, you know, the actual fight in the room upstairs is absolute gold standard. And this ending to it is gold standard. This is absolutely up there, and again in cinema history, I would say. I mean, it's probably not as revered as some of the others, but this is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, The baddie's Sean Beanie's 006, like, whoa, another secret agent. So again, I do think you're almost promising the audience when you do that there is going to be this sort of showdown. And my word, does it deliver. Having had this incredibly brutal, brilliantly directed, brilliantly choreographed, again, no score, which, you know, we might argue with Eric Serra is quite a good thing, although when the score then comes in later, it's, you know, one of my more favoured action score bits from GoldenEye. So, oh, it's so good. I love it so much. I really do.
Green 4, Green 4. This is Square Control, where are you?
We're nearly there. What you guys and us voted the second best fight in the entire James Bond franchise doesn't even involve James Bond. But my word, it's got everything, and a very worthy runner-up. This is probably the most famous fight from Bond fans in the series that doesn't have Bond in. He's already killed the chef, and he's now on to the main mission. And this really, he's ready to go. He's ready now to start chucking the milk balls, the bombs, but he's interrupted by a man we know as Green 4 now, who is obviously one of the guards who's working there. From the moment he's interrupted and he comes into the door, and he's an older guy to be fighting a really young, fit guy like Necros. What an impressive performance from Green 4.
You know, when you've heard us discuss, you know, what makes the fights from Connery and, you know, George Lazenby and even Roger Moore great, this is a perfect example of that. So it takes everything that is a great Bond fight, but sort of modernizes it, and so he's using sort of more modern day kind of film techniques and editing. Just it feels like it's obviously very contemporary as it would be, but kind of takes it up a notch. So now there's even more danger, you know, and the fact that it's in a kitchen, you've just got so many great things, you know, and I can imagine what it would be like turning up on set or like designing this fight, going, right, well, we've got a stove here, but what can we do with that? We've got boiling water, we've got this, we've got knives. It just opens up, allows you to be really creative and add that sort of brutal, scrappy fights that Bond films are really famous for. And I absolutely love the fact that it isn't Bond. That it is this character who has this moment, and by having this character be in such one of the highlights of the film and one of the fights that's a highlight of the series, just opens up the world, I think, of Bond. It just stops it from being it's just only about Bond and Bond's always the only one on this adventure. And I think it's a perfectly paced scene where it's just long enough where it feels like it's satisfying, that it ends on a real kind of, you know, even though the goodie loses, it's satisfying as in the fight is like, you feel like it wasn't one-sided, and so it feels like it was a fair fight, the scrap between the two, and then to end on that kind of, you know, a little bit of humor, you know, and then again that just gives you a moment to sort of catch your breath, and then we're off with the plot again and the story again. You know, it's a standard. John Barry's score is just, he's really just perfected what it is to do music, action music, but it's taking music from the drama and the romance and everything else, and sort of putting it through his blender and just being able to do it by this. He's just absolutely nailed it. Around this period, he's absolutely nailed it, and this is like the pinnacle for me. I think it's a brilliant scene from a brilliant film.
It's a perfect scene, isn't it? This is the only fight where the baddie wins, potentially, on some levels then. What an amazing introduction to Necros, that he gets this platform, the baddie milkman. And the only way you can really do that is to bring in a character who no one knows who he's going to beat up, because otherwise you think, oh no, what's going to happen to this guy or what? Bill Weston, the stuntman here, brings so much colour to a character to the point that we call him Green 4, to the point that he's like a cult hero. He gets his walkie-talkie, he sees it, and he goes in there full on, and it starts with chops, roly-poly, very straight, like you'd expect any kind of security guard to go at it, followed by, right, we're getting the rolling pin. no, we're going to get the blending machine. We're just going to put someone's face on a stove. We're going to throw pans of boiling water at people, and it's one thing after another. And what starts as quite I won't say regimented, but quite an official way of fighting just turns into this full-on brawl. It's amazing. You've got the score going on. You've got everyday objects firing on.
The setting is brilliant. You wouldn't get it in, a Roger Deakins Bond film at all because it doesn't look pretty, does it? It's just a kitchen. It's real. There's too many implements for it to look pretty because, again, you need those implements there for the fight to stand out. I think we've said it gets the sweet spot between a scrap where people can't, like the Goldfinger bathtub one, where it's really not clumsy, but so realistic to the point of we're just going for it. It's sort of halfway between that and the more choreographed fight. So you've got the techniques that, that Andreas told us about the ballet kind of kicks and the flip from Bill Weston. But like you say, John, it goes into that desperation, and we're really testing the limits of a PG again here. This is quite, as kids, like that bit where he pushes his cheek into the
with the scream.
Yeah, the screams. Yeah, it's pretty horrible. Necros is hurt in some of it. He does take some beatings, and I think that only makes it a more interesting fight. It's two-sided, like we say. I think this is as good as it gets in terms of a fight that I would want in any film at any period in film history. I think it really has to be amongst the best in the series and cinema, really. I mean, there are fights which will go on longer. There are fights which will have more scope in terms of moving around buildings, chases, elements like that, and more consequence because Green 4, of course, isn't even a major ally or anything like that. But in terms of a combat fight in a compact location, using the environment with, I think, the best Bond director, the best film composer ever, and you can't get better than this for me, I don't think.
When Necros wins the fight and wins it in nasty circumstances, straight away, it's the fact that we're allowed to breathe by him doing his impersonation with the smirk on his face, and you think wow, this guy has so much character.
The shot from John Glenn, the zoom in, there's a slight zoom for the saucepan, not left-handed, across the head, and the John music.
Green 4 to base. We have dangerous gas leaks in main building. Some personnel overcome. Evacuate immediately. Send for emergency medical services.
And we've just seen he's battered him, but he's also an impersonator. And he's also got a sense of humour with that. It's the perfect platform to a villain. It's up there with any fight, and it doesn't include Bond.
So there you go. Keep watching to find out what you guys voted for the undisputed #1 James Bond fight of all time.
My orders are to kill you and deliver the Lecter. How I do it's my business. It'll be slow and painful.
So after running down many James Bond fights, it's come to this, the one that you and us all think is the very best of the lot. Nearing the end of From Russia with Love, Bond must go face to face, in a train, in the dark, against the formidable Red Grant.
So we're going to talk about the only fight in From Russia with Love. But if you only have one fight, so it's a good one.
Yeah, I think it's an incredibly famous fight, not just in Bond, but I think in cinema. It was obviously something that, they planned, they rehearsed, and that they wanted to be the climax of Bond versus Grant. And it couldn't be more perfect, really. The build-up...
I've been keeping tabs on you. I've been your guardian angel. Saved your life at the gypsy camp.
Oh, yes. I'm much obliged.
Bond isn't aware of Grant sort of stalking him throughout and following him and doing this, that, and the other. And then when he pretends to be, is it Captain Nash? And they're having the meal, and then Bond cottons on that he's not who he says he is. And then even when it's revealed, this sort of, Bond being in this position where he's on his knees and so vulnerable,
Which lunatic asylum did they get you out of?
Don't make it tougher on yourself.
How the fight begins, what the fight looks like, the decision to have it in darkness, the decision not to have it scored, how claustrophobic it is, how much it looks like it hurts, and it looks real, and it looks a little bit nasty. How he kills him is quite nasty. You know what I mean? It's not like inflatable or anything like that. It's quite brutal. Perfection, really. Perfectenschlag, as Dwight Schrute would say.
Like the build up throughout the film, and then even within the scene, you've got Bond down on his knees, vulnerable, and you know there's a tension in the room where something's got to happen. It's not like perhaps in other films where Bond might just walk through a door and suddenly enters a fight.
Yeah.
The whole room is building up to this fight. You got a sense of the surroundings before it's even begun, which is brilliant. And then it's this attache case which kicks things off. Is it smoke coming out?
Stun gas,
Stun gas, that's right, yeah. And then you'd think, when you see it, judging by other Bond films and action films, music might kick in at that point when there's this of the smoke, but actually no. At no point does any music help you kind of get into the fight or dictate emotions throughout the fight. There's no score for this, which I think adds weight to every punch and every smash and every grab. There's no music. It's all sound effects, which makes you feel every blow, which is a great decision in the editing room. Such a good decision. And then also this stun gas as well. One thing I hadn't quite appreciated is early on, the lights get smashed, so you're kind of in darkness, flickering light. But there is this lingering stun gas, which also adds to the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Where it's dark, there's flickering light, and it's smoky. And it's just such, you use the word claustrophobic, Matt, it's such a claustrophobic setting for a fight. It's such a raw fight, and yet clearly so much effort has gone into it in terms of how it's choreographed and how it's lit, how it's set up, how it's filmed, and then at the very end, how it's been edited. It's been put together wonderfully.
Very rarely has a showdown between Bond and a villain been so anticipated for such a long time. There's been a tension of these two meeting from pretty much the start of the film. When you are building up such tension, you've really got to deliver on that climax. Otherwise, it comes across as a damp squib, and then and that does affect the film. But oh my word, does this deliver on every single level. Just take it back a step to when Red Grant's about to kill Bond with about to shoot him. He's torturing him. Bond's like, how about a cigarette? And he's trying to work out in his mind, just any kind of way to get out of this.
Yeah.
When Red Grant goes, the 50 gold sovereigns, is there any other in the other case? It's like, now I've got my in.
Yeah.
How about a cigarette?
Not a chance.
I'll pay for it.
What with?
50 gold sovereigns.
Where are they?
Up there in my case.
That's Bond. Only Bond does that. Do you know what I mean? That's right there. That is intuitive improvisation, actually.
Yeah.
There are these great moves that Bond is using clearly from his training, and he's equipped as a fighter. But then even there are ones just like when Grant's got him raised up against the wall, and Bond all he can do is push his jaw back. He's just trying to push Grant's jaw back, and you almost think, if I was stuck in that situation, all I could do is just try and push his face away. Like, it's so unpleasant, so difficult. He's just trying to push his face away, which is so, that's not trying to be glamorous. That's not trying to be clever. That is just trying to survive and trying to defeat Grant. You see here the perfect combination of how gadgets give him the upper hand in a fight. Like you've said, John, not an upper hand, but they get him into a fight. They level him up. It's not something to defeat a villain with a quick kill. The gadget gets him in the fight, kind of, which is such a good way to use a gadget. When you're completely stuck, when he's on his knees, the gadget just gives him a way in. Not only is this a great fight, but what a great use of gadgetry. That case, was obviously like a bit of a bestseller, and you could buy it at the time, and it's a famous gadget since, but it comes into its own as part of a massive, massive scrap. I like how those two things go together.
That gadget, barring the Walter PK, is actually the first gadget that's introduced.
Yeah.
Series.
The train moving and everything is like the soundtrack, and there's sort of a relentless, it's not stopping. Like, this isn't going to stop. It's quite a brutal fight to watch as a kid, but Grant is really blonde and Bond is really, dark hair. So like it sort of is easy to follow. It makes sense, and it's like he's like an anti-Bond. They both look like they would be able to have someone in a fight, and I also think that they're both brilliant actors, and as an audience, as I said before, you've been watching this, and it's been building the tension. So that adds to the stakes of the fight and everything.
Yeah.
It's not just, there are loads of like brilliant fights in this series where it's with a character who's just in that scene or just even in that fight. But when it's something like this, I think it adds a bit to it even more. He has to kill him here. And, as John, you said,
that stun gas only makes this a 50-50 fight. That stun gas is not like Bond, oh no, he's won it.
Yeah.
Put it on an even keel. Or, it gives him, because you have got the claustrophobic nature, you have got the idea of the train being the score.
Yes. Yeah.
Incredible that. The hearing the outside, the whistle from outside from the broken window. That is harrowing. That adds so much to that. The lack of lighting adds to it. There's a horror element. That the fact is that they're fighting against each other, and he throws him across the room, and we don't see it, but Tatiana is on that bed.
Yeah.
I remember that. Like it's a fascinating fight. You feel every punch. The sound effects are outstanding. But then there's these little bits here and there. You get these close-up images of Red Grant's really red face, like grimacing at a certain point. Bond doing so many different moves. We've got the chops to the whatever you want to call them, to his sides. The gun going off and shooting the light and all that. And then the way that it ends, course Grant is going to garrot Bond. Course he is.
Yeah.
That's always going to be the way. And it's only right that this is the way that Bond wins as well. The stab, using the attaché case again to get the knife and the tension of getting that knife, pulling it out, stabbing in his arm. I definitely think there's reference to that with Stamper's death into pulling this knife there. And then they turn around.
The audience is thinking Grant's going to use his garroting wire. That's what we saw him do to Bond, who we thought was Bond in the pre-title sequence. So surely he's going to do that now. Even if you weren't thinking it, as soon as he does that, you're like, yes, of course. Bond can't die from this. He's going to have to get out of it somehow. And it's brilliant how he gets out of it. And then to kill him, hoisted by his own petard, is brilliant. And it's not just a time-out strangle. It's with this horrible, thin metal wire, isn't it?
Cutting through, kind of.
Yeah, you can see the blood, so it's brutal. And I think the acting and the acting and the tension, and then I know it's acting during a fight. It looks, their faces and everything, it looks like it is life or death. They portray it so well.
It has about 15 to 20 seconds that allows it to breathe for Bond to gather his stuff, to put his tie back before he makes the quip.
Yes.
And you need that, because what you have had is you've had just like an injection of adrenaline after so much build-up, so much time. You just need that moment just to breathe.
Yeah.
Then Bond comes in.
You won't be needing this, old man.
The way that Connery, you can see he's absolutely like shattered, but he doesn't overstate it. He like sort of just leans against it, straightens his tie, his hair's a bit disheveled, and then gathers himself, and then that's when he goes over and gets the gold sovereigns and makes the line.
Every single aspect of this fight is perfection, and in my opinion has never been better.
So there you have it, the best fights of the James Bond franchise. You can listen to a much more in-depth look at every single fight in our podcast version. We can't wait for more brilliant fights when the new James Bond films come around.